You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Magic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. So what are you drinking there? What is that in that glass you got? I see it's a Shiner glass.
Yeah. So this is one of like two glasses that I have left over from our times at the Arms. We moved like 2-3 times.
How many glasses are you breaking? Every time.
No, I wasn't breaking them.
You were just leaving them.
We were stacking them like this high, trying to fit them in boxes, and we're like, dude, we don't have room for this. So Shiner box glass.
That's a good one to have.
And then this guy. Oh, I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
I don't know.
Hi something.
High sticky? Sticka?
Is it good?
I don't know. Yeah, no, it's delicious. Summit is the brewers right over in St. Paul, like
Nice.
closest to where we lived last year. But I've been getting into like winter beers.
Yeah.
Like
And
with
I do
spices
enjoy
and-
a winter beer. And even though like it's not Christmas time anymore, I do enjoy like a Christmas beer. I don't know what it is about it. Just the taste of a Christmas beer is very
Just get you in the mood.
yeah. I like it.
for Christmas.
For Christmas in February. Well, so you're in Minnesota, so you've probably been laughing at everything you've been seeing of Texas just disintegrating once it drops below 20 degrees.
I was laughing like the first 2 days when I was seeing all the memes, like that one with James Franco where he's like got the noose on his neck. Taylor was telling me she saw it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, is this your first time,
Right.
buddy? But then like once I started talking to my dad and you telling me about your parents, I was like, dude, this is wild. And so every day since I've been like texting Minuet and my dad, like,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on? They're like, yeah, we don't have power. We're out of firewood. And
No,
I'm just like, oh.
It really is actually crazy. Like, people are dying. It's 2021, and we're in the wealthiest country on the planet, and people are literally dying because it's cold. One family started burning their furniture in their house for warmth.
What?
People are doing shit, and I'm not trying to, like, laugh at these people that are dying, but people are doing shit that is so stupid. I can't believe... I mean, it's sad because, obviously, they're desperately cold. One family was burning their child's blocks. A family brought their charcoal grill in their house and burned their whole house down. It's kind of just crazy that this is happening. So many people are dying of carbon monoxide poisoning from turning their car on in their garage that they declared it a public health disaster, carbon monoxide poisoning. In Galveston...
Dude, people don't... Oh, tell me what's happening in Galveston.
So 95... I know it's better now, but when we were in the thick of this whole thing, 95% of Galveston was without power. So many people died that they were requesting like refrigerated trucks to house all the bodies in. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
What?
It's just cold.
100%.
That's all it took to break Texas was it's
Well,
cold.
dude, if you think about it, though, it's like it's not something that you know how to handle. A year and a half, 2 years ago, before I came up here, I would have had no idea what to do if I was in like 12-degree weather.
But
I was like, yeah, I put on a hoodie and I'm good, but I'd die.
So I haven't done like all the research, but it seems pretty bad. Like I feel like someone needs to pay for this because it sounds like they had been telling them that the Texas grid and equipment needed to be winterized like back in the 70s. And people were just like, we'll never need it. Oh, it doesn't need to be done. And the way Texas's energy grid is set up, I don't really understand it. But so
We're our own
all
grid.
of the electricity only comes from within Texas,
Yes.
and
That
we
makes
can't
sense.
receive energy from anyone else
Correct.
because of the way it's set up or something. So the grid is all like privatized and broken up. No one can help us. Literally, like all these other states that could generate electricity and help, they just have to like sit there and watch us burn because of the way Texas's grid is set up. You
Right.
know, like
Dude, I'd believe that. That sounds like the kind of thing that Texas would do.
They
Like
were
the
just-
one time we need Oklahoma, we can't.
I know.
We can't get help.
They just like years ago, they were like, "Keep your dirty mitts off my electricity," and like they never. So it's crazy. And then
Yeah,
you've
well,
got.
I heard that there was something. I didn't read the whole article. I just read the headline, so could be totally wrong. But they were saying that a huge problem was that the natural gas pipelines were all freezing, and like I don't know how that's possible. Like I don't know. You guys have a little bit more science than me. Maybe you
I
can
would
tell me.
imagine like
have you heard that?
it just seems like the freezing temperature of gas should be way colder than.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
what I heard, it was creating some type of chemical or compound. I forgot exactly what it was called, but basically what it was doing, it was creating these like crystal. It was like crystallizing.
Oh
So,
my
like,
God.
Something within the gas or whatever chemically, whatever it was made up of, was creating crystals when it got to a certain temperature that it shouldn't have been.
This is ridiculous.
So that's what it was.
Wait,
And
how has no one ever thought like, hey, maybe it'll get down below 35 degrees?
Because climate change is not real.
Oh man,
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
obviously not. Look how cold
No.
it is.
Yeah.
Global warming.
I know that's
Please.
another thing Trump used to do all the time. He would like share pictures on Twitter of it snowing in places like Atlanta, and he'd be like, "Well, sure could use some of that global warming right now. It's
Well,
snowing in Georgia."
I know what we
Dude,
should address
comedian and-
is Greg Abbott coming out and blaming this whole disaster on renewable energy.
I think that's so stupid. It's like, oh, he's like putting up pictures of, oh, the wind turbines froze. Look
Right.
at that. Oh, there's your Green New
Ridiculous.
Deal. And it's like, okay, well, 80% of Texas's energy comes off of, just traditional
It's-
means, no non-green fuels. And that's not even what the problem is.
Right.
I don't
It's
understand.
so bad.
They just see
I
this
didn't
issue.
see- I mean, I'm kind of detached from all of that. Like, I haven't been following it as closely,
Right.
obviously, because I'm not anywhere near.
Yeah.
But that's fucking dumb.
There's a
dude.
large
I heard
movement.
something on the news that he was like, to what?
There's a
Yeah.
large movement to like get people to rally against the Green New Deal because of what's happening in Texas. They're like, you want the Green New
Oh my
Deal?
God.
Look at this.
Yeah.
With the Green New Deal.
It's really bad.
And wind turbines and green energies, you're just gonna be
Yeah.
without power anytime it gets
What a
cold.
So my
joke,
friend,
dude.
my friend TD works for a solar panel company called Sunshine's Renewables, and he's going to be on here too. And he
Yeah.
really wants to talk about climate change and all of the technology. And he was like, they're like trying to get as many leads and posting as much
Right.
as they can right now in this time, because obviously, like, if you have a battery
Right.
storing energy or storing electricity and stuff, you can just run your house on that and you'll be perfectly fine. So people are realizing, oh shit, why don't I have
So
solar
if,
panels?
If you
And
have
so-
solar right now,
Mhm.
or like let's say during that winter storm, people who have solar panels on their house, they were just fine.
They're good. They're good. Yeah, as long as everything's connect
Nice.
properly, they set it up properly. Yeah,
Dang.
you're good to go.
Imagine
Dude,
being that one house
It
on the
takes a
block that's just lit up.
catastrophe, man.
I know. Yeah, I bet solar sales go up. Imagine
so-
being that one house, like
yeah.
in the cul-de-sac. Everyone else is just in darkness in the Stone
Yeah.
Age. There was a period of time I was in my apartment. I didn't have electricity. I didn't have water. And because all the power was out, none of the cell towers had power, so I had no cell reception. I was effectively in 1868. And like, there was nothing I could do.
Wait. Why that year though?
I don't know. Because any year, like from
So specific.
1890 and before, those were all fine. I was living in 1312, like I was living in.
13, 12.
I mean, it was just so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what surprised me when I was texting everybody down there, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, we don't have cell service."
Yeah.
I'm like, how does that happen? Because like we have blackouts and stuff, but you
Right.
still have cell service. The towers are fine.
yeah.
How do they not have backup power? Like we live in hurricane country. How do they not have? Well, sorry, you live in.
I
hurricane
live in her. You
country.
don't anymore. You
How do
live
they
in
not have
blizzard
yeah.
country.
Yeah, right. The Arctic tundra. How do they not have like backup power for the cellular grid? That's ridiculous.
We have
I
to
don't-
now. Going forward, I don't know. Something has to change. Something has to be different. I don't know. And then everyone was talking about Ted Cruz, the senator here
Dude.
who just up and left and went to Cancun with his family. And it's just so funny because, one, I don't know how he thought in the internet age. No, everyone knows what Ted Cruz looks like.
Right.
Like, there was no way. I would have thought he could have just
He could
chartered
get
a
away
private
with
jet
that,
or something.
dude.
But he just flew United, and everyone caught him. And then he had the nerve to go, "Oh, I was just being a good dad and escorting my kids." But then he came out later in an interview, and he was like, coming home early was not the plan. I was gonna stay there till Saturday or whatever. He came out and he said,
Right.
I admitted coming home was not my original plan, and then he was like, I'm gonna be honest. I started having second thoughts the minute I sat down on the airplane, and it's like, yeah, because that's when the pictures started to hit the internet. He was probably sitting there on his phone on the plane, just watching the pictures of himself pop up on Twitter and Instagram, and he was like, okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
I ran into
How
him.
could he have thought that was a good idea?
I ran into him at a Whole Foods one time.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah, it was super random.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything. I just looked at him and just like shook my head a little bit.
He doesn't strike me as a Whole Foods guy.
Right?
Yeah, no,
That's
not
what
at
I
all.
thought.
Wait, which Whole Foods was it?
I don't remember. He was at the cashier right next to me though, and the
Wow.
cashier was like, "Hey, look behind me." Because at first I wasn't looking. I was bagging my stuff,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Look, it's Ted Cruz." And I was like, "What?" It didn't look like him.
Yeah.
Because on TV everything looks different, probably has makeup and shit. But I was like, "Oh shit, that is." And then me and Bree, my wife, were like, "Oh damn, crazy shit."
It is crazy when you see someone like that in person. I'm trying to think. I don't really see a lot of. I've never seen a politician in person.
It's very strange.
I've seen things like
What?
like the weatherman in
You saw
person.
Beto, dude.
Yeah, but
I
that
was
was
there.
I knew he was gonna be there. It's not like I was
Okay,
filling
not
up.
like a happening upon
Right.
them. kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It's not like
Gotcha.
I,
Yeah.
was just like at the gas station filling up and like he was just standing
Oh.
there. Yes, we're gonna fill up your cars with gas. Hell yes, we're gonna buy these organic peanuts. Peanuts are always organic, I think. Okay, anyway, that doesn't matter. So we have a
gonna breeze
lot
right
of
past
stuff
that
we
without
can
any
talk about.
explanation.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Okay, all right.
So, Kamaan, you live in Minnesota, and you've
I do.
lived there for what, I want to say like 2.5 years now. 2 years?
What's this year? 2021? 2 years? Yeah, probably like a little more than 2 years. 2 years and some change.
And how has that been for you, being like a lifelong Texan, now being there?
Fucking cold.
Yeah,
Like this past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, the time is blurring together.
Right.
It's been like sub-zero temperatures every day, and
Right.
like obviously everybody up here knows how to handle it, and like the city is still functioning just fine. It's just when you go outside, it hurts every time.
it's physically painful. Yeah,
Yeah. And I thought after last winter, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you got to do your first winter, and then you'll be a Minnesotan." I did the winter, and then this winter came, and I am still in pain,
right.
and I am still not feeling mentally sound. So eventually I'll get there, I guess.
Yeah.
You got to do enough winters, and it'll break you down, and then you
Right.
don't feel the cold anymore. Like I see dudes going into Menards, like the big hardware store
It's
up
like
here.
your Home Depot, right? Or it's like your Lowe's
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, but like a tier lower for
Right.
like only lower middle class dads.
gotcha.
Yeah, but there'll be dudes going in there in like shorts and flip flops and like a raggedy ass sweatshirt
Right.
in like 12-degree weather. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
They're just built
But
different.
they're totally chill. Yeah.
But
I
then
don't know what it is.
in the summer, like when it gets hot, if it like gets into the 90s, are they ever just like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? It's so hot. Do they?
Well, that's the thing though. Like it gets into like the mid 90s, and it's not like, oh my God, this has never happened before. It's like you get both extremes.
Yeah.
Like last summer we were staying in an apartment that was like, I think it was like a 3rd floor apartment, and so we would get everybody else's heat.
Mm.
So during the winter that was nice, but then during the summer months, dude, it was fucking hot. Like we'd have the windows open,
Right.
fans going, AC cranking just the entire time, and it was still like we were melting. And then you go outside and it's hot and humid and sticky and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's a Texas thing. But no, they're like, yeah, the state bird is the mosquito, and I'm like,
No.
I swear that's what
No.
we say in Texas.
No, it's weird because I've spent a lot of time in Wisconsin. Mosquitoes are crazy in Wisconsin,
Wow.
way crazier than I've ever seen them down here. I don't know if it's because they have so many like lakes everywhere there.
They're just laying dormant,
Probably.
waiting
yeah.
to just shoot out as soon as it gets above a certain temperature.
yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's like it's disgusting. I mean, they just descend upon you. It's crazy. So,
Gross.
but Minnesota is cool. I think it is like a really pretty state. The lakes everywhere it's pretty crazy. You just like when you're flying into Minneapolis, it just looks like it's ridiculous. It looks like there's more water than land, almost sometimes.
I'm not a
It's crazy.
scientist, but I think that might be true.
Probably.
That would explain the
10,000
mosquitoes.
lakes. Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
They all moved up there for the lakes. So you work for the Minnesota state government. I'm not really sure what you do, but it sounds like you get bills that come to you before they hit like the state congressional floor, and you kind of are editing them and looking over them, making sure everyone's dotted their I's and crossed their T's, sort of.
Something like, yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah. Not a job that I ever thought that I would do, but like I graduated last semester from the U up here, and then
Congrats.
I've got this spring semester that I'm like not doing anything until fall when I'll go to grad school. So I was like, what job can I do? And then of course the legislative session was like from early January to mid or late May. So I was like, oh dude, this is perfect.
Right.
Not really knowing what I'd be doing. So I applied, and it's like, at first, like the way they sell it is like, oh yeah, you'll be like an active part in the legislative process, and you're gonna be one of the big cogs in the government machine. And I was like, oh dude, that sounds super cool. Like this is what I'll do with my poli-sci degree. I'll definitely need all the stuff I learned about like the Soviet Union and Central Asia.
Right.
I can apply that. And then they're like, here's your computer, take this home. We're gonna send you like probably like 3/4 of the way completed bills.
Right.
It's got all the language in there that people want. And then basically we just have to go through and be like, okay, does this make sense? Does this make sense? How's the grammar? How's the spelling? Looks good. And then send it on to the lawyers who will like, yeah, this is citing the right stuff. And then we pass it on to the legislators, and they say, boom, boom, pass it. And then, yeah, so it's a weird job that I didn't know existed. But I mean, it's kind of interesting. I saw there's been a lot of bills coming through from the Republicans in the state Senate that are like reopen everything now. And it's fun to just see those come through and then not come to fruition.
Right.
Because like we proof like thousands of bills, and then maybe like 100 of them will get passed in the session. So it's just funny to see all the stuff that people push for and then nothing ever happens.
There's that many? That seems crazy to me. That like there's that many. I don't even really know. Everything I see, I just feel like, oh, that's a federal thing. That's a federal. You don't even think about state laws and state level things. You just hear about all the federal stuff. You know, I don't even know the names of any of the like Texas people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the people that are in the Texas Congress, I don't know anything
I have no
about
idea.
them.
Not
which
one
is
bit.
bad.
Well, aren't they? Isn't the Texas state legislature? Aren't they like super part time? Like they get paid like $1,000 or something, and then.
Oh, really?
That's not accurate. It's not accurate. But they get paid like some trivial amount of money, and they come in for whatever the session is, but they have to like hold full-time jobs outside of that.
Wow.
Maybe they're like math teachers, and then like they come in and they're voting on stuff. I don't know. I kind of had an epiphany earlier today. I was talking to Adam. I think I'm just gonna like try and find an office that's like unopposed. I'm just gonna start running for shit, like where I can just win by default. Because we were talking about, I don't know if you remember from when you were living here in Houston, but Lena Hidalgo, who's the county judge. Are you familiar with her?
Sounds familiar. I'm sure I voted for her if she was on the ballot.
Yeah, so
sounds super familiar.
She got elected, I think, about 2 years ago. Today's actually her birthday, so happy birthday, Judge, if you're listening to this.
Bring the basketball courts back.
Yeah, Adam emailed her earlier today asking about when they were gonna, because they've taken the rims off of all the basketball goals, so no one's like outside. Okay, not important. So anyway,
it is important. What?
All right.
No, I want to make this clear.
No, we're not.
The fact that
I
basketball
think we
courts.
should take a stand.
The fact that basketball courts are not up right now is ridiculous. There's tennis courts up. There's volleyball nets.
Yeah.
There's people playing soccer. Come on.
Oh, that is stupid that there's volleyball nets but no basketball
Seriously.
goals.
And tennis courts.
I didn't know it
come
was
on.
targeted like that. That's
Yes,
kind of
and I think
like they take the rims off all the public
yes.
courts.
It's because
Yes.
they
people
know
don't
who
go
likes
play?
to play basketball. And no, just kidding.
No, I really do think it's something like that because mainly those basketball goals are in lower class neighborhoods, poorer neighborhoods, and they're not having them up. And so I go to River Oaks right here where I live, across the street. There's a River Oaks Park right here. There's always people playing tennis there. And they took those nets down and
I've
said
played
you couldn't
tennis
play there. Yeah. Originally they said, no, you can't play. But then I know what happened. All those people in the neighborhood stood up together and said, no, we're demanding we want to play tennis here in our court. And I guarantee that's not happening in the lower income neighborhoods where there's basketball goals. I think it's a huge problem, for sure. I think it's...
Yeah, no, because they got shit to do, like go to work
Right.
and support their families.
Yeah, so anyways,
River Oaks.
I do feel passionate about that. I love basketball.
All right,
so-
Judge. Listen up. Give us
if
our
you're
basketball
listening.
goals back.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I've been seeing her so much recently just because she's always on TV and she's talking about it. Mainly, it used to be she was always talking about new COVID rules and regulations, social distancing things, what businesses were going to be open and closed, mask mandates, curfews. She was just constantly always on TV, and you always see her title as judge. And I was like, why is this judge talking about infectious diseases? And
Yeah,
now,
that was going to be my question.
right,
Why
and
is
now
she the
why
one
is she
telling
on TV telling us about when the electricity is going to come back and when? So I looked it up. Her title is county judge, but you can essentially think of county judge as, and she has a bachelor's degree in poli-sci that she got in Stanford. Yeah, it's technically she's not a judge of law or a court. The term county judge essentially means like she is the governor of Harris County. She's essentially like in charge of the county. Until this morning, she was in her 20s. She's now 30. She got elected at 27 to be the county judge for Harris County. She ran unopposed in the Democratic primary for that position. And then she was going up against Ed Emmett, who's a guy that's like, he's like 70. And he lost to this 27-year-old woman. And I think, one, that's crazy and super cool, but it's like, what's stopping me from doing this,
Yeah, right. I didn't even know that was like a position.
I didn't know about it.
Not even
either.
necessarily like the county judge,
Right.
but like there's somebody that's the governor of
Right.
the county. What?
So Harris County
I'm gonna have to look into it.
the county that encompasses Houston, Texas, and I might be wrong, but I think it's
Pretty
like
much a state.
it might be the 5th largest county in the country. I know it's like a top 10 size-wise
sure.
county. I don't know about population-wise or
I would believe
area-wise,
it.
but I know it ranks really high. So she outranks the mayor. She's like the woman in charge of Harris County. And she's been doing it since she was 27. So she got her bachelor's degree at Stanford. And then she went back. I think she was going to get her master's or a doctorate. I don't remember in what field, what degree she was going for. But she was doing it at Harvard or NYU or some other really prestigious school. But she put her degree on hold to run for this position. She got it. And one, what a stressful position to be in your late 20s. But just like, there's got to be some little local office I can run for, right?
Easily.
Yeah,
Like-
that nobody knows about, but that has real responsibilities
Right.
because somebody's got to be doing shit somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure I could get a city council job in some small town somewhere, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just think that's cool.
Do you want that though? Then it's just going to be all like sitting at town hall meetings, getting
It's-
yelled at by,
It's purely
by the
for
old people.
It's purely for Tom's sake, just to say I did it.
I know. I just want to have a placard. I don't even care what it says,
Yeah.
But so it got me thinking when I knew I was going to talk to you today. She got a poli-sci degree, and do you think she ever just considered like, that's what I want to be, the county judge? So I wanted to ask you, like, when you got your poli-sci degree, what ultimately, one, what got you into politics and wanting to be a poli-sci major, but then also like, where would you like your life to go in the political sphere? Because I know you're also looking at getting a graduate degree, maybe a master's degree or something like that. So I kind of wanted to know, like, what got you into politics? Where do you see it going from here?
Damn. Okay. Good question. I'd say I didn't originally want to do poli-sci. I was like interested in politics from being in the military and like watching the news a lot. And then like, oh, this is happening. So then maybe we'll have to do this. And so I was kind of like exposed to like how international politics affects like life here. Obviously, I didn't realize it in those kind of terms at the time. It was just kind of subliminal.
Right.
But then I got out and I was like, oh, you know what? I probably want to do a marketing degree so I can open a business and whatever.
Right.
Like everybody does, like every young 20s man wants to do.
Right.
But then I got into school and after the first semester, I was taking a bunch of history courses. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I think journalism would be kind of like the in-between of what I want. Because like the marketing degree was a lot of like sales and like talking to people and like communication like that. And then journalism would be like the like political affairs and like world events and that sort of thing. And I kind of wanted to put all that together, and I thought it would be kind of cool to go into journalism, but I didn't want to be one of those people that got like a journalism degree, like here's how to journalist.
Right.
So I figured I'd like get some kind of degree that would give me a little bit of a specialty, I guess. I didn't know anything about like, the poli-sci degree at the time. And like when I was in Houston going to UHD, like the little satellite campus downtown with all the people that started college in their 20s and then are coming back in their 40s. Those were all my classmates. I was like taking all these poli-sci courses, and it was kind of just all over the place. It was like, here's what's happening in this part of the world. Here's why that's happening, history of this place, and then current events in this place. And it kind of just got me like paying attention to what's going on. And then I transferred up here to the U, and they've got like a kick-ass journalism school with like all kinds of wild internships and stuff. And I was working at the Minnesota Daily, which is like the paper they put out.
Are you still working with them at all, or is that over?
No, I could have stayed on for this semester as like a grace semester. They do like once you graduate, if you don't have a job lined up, you can work there. But I'm working full time with the state legislature, so I just didn't want to have too much on my plate.
Right.
I'm ready to chill after a couple years of college. Yeah, but so I got up here and they've got a sweet journalism program, and I was working at the Daily, just doing photography, doing like photojournalism stuff, and I think my first semester up here, I took this course with this professor. What's her name? It's Dr. Kathleen Collins. She's supposed to be one of like the states and maybe the countries, probably not, but like one of their top experts on on Russia and Central Asia, specifically like the end of the Soviet era, and then like very recent modern Central Asian history, like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and all the stands that you don't hear about, other than like besides Afghanistan.
Where they're dropping all the nukes at?
Whoa. Whoa, okay, you got the insider info there.
No, that's where one of the biggest bases are where they drop nukes at. There's a giant field there where they just drop
Who's
test
dropping
nukes.
them?
Russia.
Oh, that's where they.
That's where they test. That's where they test a lot of their.
We
nukes.
just drop ours in Arizona.
Yeah, we drop ours in Arizona and in the freaking ocean. But they're dropping them over there in the mainland. It's like a giant land out there, just there's hundreds of thousands of miles.
One of their stands is.
Yeah, that's where they drop a lot of nukes out there. Yeah.
There's like Tajikistan and Turkmenistan. You know, it's crazy. Like
all of them.
Whenever you see the astronauts going to space from, when they go up on the Soyuz rockets, the Russian rockets, they're taking off from Baikonur, Kazakhstan, which I didn't even know existed until I started like really following NASA.
It's out in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
That's where they're dropping the bombs at too.
It's crazy when you think about how much land is out there. You always think about like, oh, America, it's this huge sprawling country.
Yeah.
Then you look at Russia and the area surrounding.
It's massive.
They can just do whatever they want out there, dude. It's
nobody
wild.
would know.
No, they're just sending people to space in the middle of nowhere, and it has this cool name, the Cosmodrome. Like that's where they're sending, and you think it's like this dope space complex, like something out of the Jetsons. It looks like Iron Curtain, like it
looks like it was
Soviet
built
era.
in the 50s or
the
later.
rockets that they're using are like Soviet era rockets. They're so old. I mean, they work though.
You point them and you shoot them.
I guess so.
I figured that out a long time ago. And
where's the rocket going? Up. It's just going up. Yeah, it's crazy. So, that is crazy to think about, just how much empty space is out there. And so,
and just like those are the flyover countries.
Right.
Like there's probably so much shit going on. There is so much shit going on there. But like we don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And they're launching rockets.
We talk about flyover states like Nebraska. That's a flyover state. It doesn't even. Nebraska has nothing on like how just
Turkmenistan.
barren Turkmenistan is, or all those places. Yeah. So so she was an expert in like the end of the Soviet Union. That's such a weird thing to be.
Yeah. So she's like huge into Soviet history, and then her master's and PhD she spent in Tajikistan doing like research under their like aggressively, not Soviet, but like aggressively communist regimes that they had at the time, like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
So she was there doing like interviews with people.
Wow.
Like her journalist buddies there were getting whacked.
Oh
like
my
just
God.
on the daily. So she's a badass. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, you gotta have some kind of crazy in you to do that, man.
Yeah, right. Now she's just teaching university students like it's nothing.
Wow.
Well, because like I went to school for communications, and so the School of Communications is broken up into like broadcast, and then there's film, and then there's journalism, and there's all this other stuff. and I ended up going broadcast. But like for a while, I was thinking, what about journalism? I'll live in Tel Aviv, Israel for a year, and I'll be the CNN correspondent. And then I started like seeing these videos of like, oh, another American journalist gets his head cut off in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, you know what, this isn't for me, man. You know.
Yeah, 2012 was like probably like 2010 to 2012 was a rough time for American journalists. That was when like the ISIS snatching up journalists and beheading them on live television was the thing. So rough time to consider.
Yeah, and then how long ago was that Khashoggi thing? The guy that they made they made a documentary about it. It's playing in, you know, not a lot of movie theaters are open right now, but a few of them, like River Oaks Theater, if you remember, is open, and they're showing this like movie about his life or about what happened. He just got cut into pieces. And like
that's madness.
They just like played music to drown out his screams, and they just sawed him up and then like took him out in a Persian rug. And then lied about it, you know. But it's just like that's the world of journalism.
And everybody knows now, but it's like nothing happened.
Nothing
like,
happened.
Oh, dude, that's so fucked up. Like we should not have let that go. They sawed the man up, but also whatever. I mean, it's cool.
So
he was a journalist. He was annoying.
Yeah. So I decided strongly against journalism at that point. But I do think journalism is really cool, and like I feel like. What would you say your time as like a photojournalist was like? I mean, it seems like a pretty cool thing to do, going out on assignments, you know, getting the inside scoop.
Yeah, no, it was sweet. So obviously this was like a student paper, so not like, we definitely didn't have the resources and like the network and like the network of sources that like a real newspaper would have. It was mostly like students who are alumni, and then where they end up working, we've got connections, and then like reporters at the Star Tribune, the big newspaper up here, that like feel sorry for us,
right.
and are like, hey, here's a source, here's a source.
Right.
So it's definitely like limited scope and not reflective of like the broader journalism industry. But it was pretty cool to like, I don't want to say be on the front line of things that are happening, because that's what like ABC says, and I always look at them and they're like, dude, you're whack.
Right.
Like, come on. It's not that
We're on
serious.
the front lines.
But
we are
it was
under
cool
sniper
to like,
fire right now.
Like, come on,
yeah,
bro. At this McDonald's that we're at because somebody got their butt grabbed. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But no, it was super cool to like, to talk to people that I never would have talked to otherwise. Like we had this one story that was basically highlighting how immensely impacted performers were by the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And like we were going to this, I met this one person. I think they were like gender non-binary or something. So like they were just this person. It's definitely, that's like something that I've experienced and like grown with here in Minnesota. Like obviously Minneapolis is like, well, maybe not obviously, super liberal and progressive. So some of my Texas ideals have been challenged, especially at the newspaper. But yeah, so I met with this person that I never would have met with otherwise. They showed me their like rocker van that was just like totally stripped except for the carpet just and the pile of cigarette butts in the corner. Told me about all like the rock gigs that they had to give up.
Right.
And like I was just thinking the whole time, like I would never ever have met this person, would never have crossed paths with them, never spoken to them.
Right.
But just got to meet so many unique and sometimes weird and like unsettling people that I never would have gotten to meet otherwise, and like put their story out there where normal people like you and me and like everybody that we know would be exposed to their like crazy weird shit. So it was super cool in that aspect, just like doing stuff and going into niches that I never would have expected.
Right.
How do you think that's influenced you as far as, you know, is where you want your career to go, and as far as like just you as a person, like being able to meet really cool, interesting people?
I definitely think it's made me get out of my like social comfort zone, because I mean Tommy can attest to like my very limited social interaction, voluntary social interaction. Like, dude, I'm good to just hang out at home on the patio, have a couple beers. Like, we don't need to go out and interact with people.
No.
But this has definitely made me want to like, it's made me realize that like everybody's got something to offer, and like for sure there's like it might be kind of uncomfortable for me to get to know them and to be comfortable with them to share what they're going through or their story or whatever their experiences. But like, it's just kind of made me realize that I'm not special and everybody else has something crazy going on as well.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
weird
definitely-
realization. Like realizing that, oh, I'm not really special. I mean,
Yeah,
like
right?
my parents make me feel special, but I'm pretty boring and regular,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like you, I'm the same way. I'm kind of like, I'll go to a bar and just find a table near no one else and just sit in the corner and like get pissed drunk by myself and then go home and, you know, do that. I'm not really big for social interactions. But that's one thing that's cool about this podcast, because like you're bringing people on the show that are super different from me, and you know I'll probably bring on people to the show that are super different than you. So I think like it's kind of the same effect where we're like talking to people and learning about shit. Like the episode we did with Sosa, he's talking about like transpersonal, taking your mind to other places and stars ejaculating, and I'm like, yeah, this conversation would have never happened if I was left to my own devices. So
Yeah,
it's really-
right. Like you would never
Right.
get there,
Yeah.
except you were put in this situation, so now you are there. So it's like, yeah, definitely that same kind of.
And so, like, is
For sure.
Minnesota's a pretty liberal state as a whole, or do you feel like it's just a microcosm in Minneapolis of like super, sort of like how Austin is here? Austin
Yeah.
is a bubble of California that exists within the great red beyond that is Texas.
Like that's exactly it. And
Okay.
like all the people that have moved from Minneapolis and St. Paul, which is like Dallas Fort Worth kind of deal. Minneapolis and St. Paul, all the people that have moved from there to Texas end up in Austin. They're like, yeah, it's a little Minnesota.
Yeah.
But Minnesota is like blue and then red. So like you
Yeah.
get outside the city limits and it's like you start seeing all those billboards that are like, at 2 weeks, your baby knew your name.
Oh yeah,
Here's the number to call.
exactly.
And you're like, whoa, dude, like Jesus saves. Are you anxious? Jesus has your back.
Right.
And it's the dude with his head in his hands.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, whoa. Yeah, it's a stark contrast.
It's-
but like in the cities, it's very liberal.
You start to see like the signs in people's yard with the political candidate they're voting for. It just makes a hard shift. It's kind of the same in Houston, but
Yeah.
I don't think Houston is nearly as like as much of a micro. Like Houston's pretty diverse.
Very
There's a lot of
diverse.
people here that are still really conservative that live in Houston. It's not
Yeah.
nearly the same effect as like when you're living in Austin.
Yeah.
Or another good example, I spent a lot of time in Washington, and Seattle is about as far left as you can go. Like it's like for a period of time, like the people just took over square blocks of downtown, and they were like, yeah, this is our little area. No one's going to move us from here. And the government was like sending them food. It's like, okay, you guys can do your thing. So, but if you go into Eastern Washington, like once you get out of Western Washington, you start to get to cities like Spokane, or you start to get out to where, like it's crazy because even the landscape will change. Like the trees, it's not as green. It's more of like a tan kind of like Idaho looking place. Super, super far right. So far right that they're even talking about. Cayman, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there is a bill, I guess, that they're trying to get passed to split Washington in two and to create a 51st state because they're frustrated with the fact that the majority of the population of the state is obviously in Western Washington, where Seattle and Tacoma and Olympia, the capital, all of that's in Western Washington. So the people in Eastern Washington feel like they're not accurately being represented by their representatives because Seattle keeps electing, or Western Washington keeps electing all of these really progressive left liberals, but they are like super hard Republicans and super, super conservatives and even libertarians. They want to split the state into Western Washington, and that would still be called Washington. They want their half of the state to be called Liberty. So we would have a 51st state called Liberty if this happened. I think that's got to be the most extreme case of like those little political microcosms that I've seen in the country. But it's interesting to see that Minnesota is kind of the same way.
I hadn't heard about Washington. I didn't know that like Liberty was a thing.
Read about
but
it. It's
I heard
nuts.
about in California, they want to do the state of Jefferson, and that's like
where do they get these damn names?
yeah,
Jefferson, Liberty.
I don't, dude. They're like, oh, let's go back to 1777 and pick the most prominent word in the vocabulary.
I know.
But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, obviously, will probably never happen. But it's
Where
pretty
would they
wild.
spit it?
I mean,
Like NorCal and SoCal, or like?
I'm not totally sure where the delineation is drawn, because obviously San Francisco would be part of the liberal part, and then San Diego probably, and LA. So maybe like if this is the West Coast, they'd like kind of inland where it gets. I don't know.
The thing that's interesting,
I've never looked at like what it would actually look like, but
it would look fucking goofy. And the thing about it is like all of the money comes from the liberal side. Where would the money come from in Eastern Washington or Liberty? They'd be fucked. Everything, all the money that's generated is predominantly coming from the western part of the state. And if they drew that line through California and made Jefferson, and they let California have San Diego and San Fran and LA, like what would they do?
No, it's not going to work.
I don't think it could ever work.
No.
They'd grow just massive fields of weed,
right?
And then shoot at government helicopters when they came by.
I guess so.
Like, that's the life.
I think the flag of liberty. This could be bullshit. Maybe I just saw this on like an Onion article, but I think they proposed like a flag for liberty, and I'm pretty sure it has an M4 on it.
Oh my!
Like just an assault rifle on the fucking flag, liberty.
I sure hope it does.
So it's interesting to see shit like that happen.
But what's cool is like living here in Houston, especially during the pandemic, because we kind of get a little bit of both worlds as far as the political spectrum.
Right.
And so we will have like at points everything was shut down. Obviously restaurants were shut down. Everything was shut down at one point. But then I feel like we're one of the first that opened back up, at least to certain capacities, percentages.
You have like state level policies that are coming down, but then like you have the people in the cities trying to like fight back against those things. They're like, okay, if you're in Texas, you can open this back up, but then the city people are like, but there's a curfew. And so you have them like battling back and forth, red and blue.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting watch it all go down, because like in some ways I don't like being in a red state. Others I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can actually do some things that I want to do, or and vice versa. So it's like, it's really interesting being here. Some ways I'm blessed, some ways we're not so much, but I'd rather be here honestly than in New York or California, where you literally those people are still on house arrest, lockdown. It's like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think you almost need both sides. And Joe Rogan was actually talking about this the other day. I think he was talking about it with Elon Musk, about how like he moved from California to Austin mainly because of how crazy California had gotten with all the COVID stuff. And he was saying like Austin only works because it's this blue city in this crazy red state. Yeah. So it's like the problem that they're worried about arising is like all the Californians move to Austin and turn it and Texas into California.
Basically bringing all of their problems with them.
And it only works if it's like you're getting those two. You get all the freedom of a red state, but then you get all of the, good social policies and stuff of a blue area.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I think we almost kind of need both sides.
Speaking of Elon Musk, man.
Can you imagine though how many Californians would have to move to Austin?
I know.
to turn it into California.
I mean, yeah, it would have to be crazy. But I mean, Texas is progressively getting like slightly less red. Bluer. I mean, we're not like to a purple point yet, but we are kind of getting to where like.
You want to know my favorite thing about Austin?
What?
I went to some of the like festivals and gatherings that they would do at the local parks and stuff. Dude, it was so funny because it would just be random people out there.
Yeah.
And you would meet so many crazy different people that that's when I moved from Houston. I lived in Austin for 2 years, and it was probably the most mind-opening experience I ever had, because I was like, these people actually exist. They live their life like this. They think like this. It was so cool. And so I would go to these local parks and stuff, and there'd be girls topless, like body paint, people dancing in circles randomly, just weird random stuff. And like, what is happening here? And obviously people smoking weed openly and stuff like that. It was just such a cool experience.
It's very weird. Like we went to Barton Springs pool one time, you and I, but I went another time, and you can just swim topless there.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there chilling in the water doing my thing, and like these 3 girls get in the pool topless. And I was just thinking, if 12-year-old me saw this, I'd be like, guys, come to Barton Springs right now. I'd be calling all my friends, But it's just normal.
It's just totally normal now. No one looks at it like it's anything different. That's
another
really
kind
cool.
of place.
But you're
Yeah.
also, while you're there and there's just like topless people around smoking weed openly, you're also in a state where you can just go and buy an assault rifle at Walmart.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, like,
exactly.
do whatever you want, no state
Yeah.
income tax. It's pretty,
It's amazing.
it's kind of perfect.
It's
yeah.
really
No
cool.
state income tax.
But,
Mhm.
okay, so I know we were kind of joking about like the front lines of journalism earlier. You served in the Marine Corps. I think you were in, what, 5 years? Or
Yeah,
how long?
yep.
5 years. So,
yeah, 5 years.
Oh, hats off now.
yeah.
Getting serious.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so
Let me
if
tell you about the war.
so, I know you had gone to a lot of different countries. I think you were in Qatar for a little while and some other places. If a photojournalism or a journalism position had been offered you to like go to the Middle East and like actually be on the front lines of journalism, do you think you would have taken it? Like, you've kind of already been in those different parts of the world. Like, do you think you would have been like, yeah, I would do that job?
So maybe like right when I got out, because then I was very much like single and very much not sure what I wanted to do with my life, and like
Right.
very open to risk, because I was like, oh man, yeah, I've risked everything before. I could do literally anything. And yeah, at one point I was like, oh dude, it'd be very cool to be like a war correspondent
Right.
for one of the major news networks, and obviously that's a tough job to get. But yeah, I definitely thought at one point like, hey, that would be a very cool and interesting thing to do. And a lot of the people that I idolized were like war correspondents.
Who do you
like,
idolize?
What's her name? Lindsay Adario. She's not explicitly
Right.
like covering wars and stuff, but she's definitely in like a lot of conflict zones. And I know she did a lot of work in Afghanistan. But she's kick-ass photojournalist. She's written a book, super cool. But that was kind of the life that I was like, yeah, I've been to these places. I'd like to experience them now as a photojournalist. But obviously, as not too long after I got out, I met Taylor, who's my girlfriend now.
Shout out Taylor.
so-
It's her birthday today. Same birthday as Lena Hidalgo. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Taylor. I hope you're having a great day.
She explicitly told me don't do a birthday shout out.
Edit
but
this out of
thank
the
you for
podcast,
helping.
Adam.
No,
We'll
no,
edit
no.
it.
Do not. Thank you for working that around. I didn't do it.
Yeah, this
But,
was
yeah.
completely up to Tom.
Full disclosure, like before this started, he did not tell me to say that. I'm also friends with Taylor, and I hope she's having a great birthday. We'll put a bunch of graphics on the screen, like
Just
3D graphics, happy birthday, confetti, air horns.
the tackiest ones you can find.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, so
so-
now you're domesticated.
Yeah. So obviously there was the like, hey, I'm in like working towards at the time a serious relationship, and like I'm experiencing like it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I went straight from high school into the Marine Corps, so it was kind of like I didn't really experience real life as an adult.
Right.
So then I got out and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Like, other than paying taxes and stuff, like I'm living in my own apartment. I do what I do or what I want to do when I want to do it.
Right.
There's so much out here, so many places to eat, so many places to travel, so
Right.
many things to see. So that kind of led me away from that path. Like I didn't ever really stop considering it until I decided like, hey, journalism isn't for me, but it stopped being kind of like the go-to, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. It
Right.
went from being that to, hey, this might be an option.
Yeah.
Just because like I've certainly traveled to those places, but it hasn't been really to those places.
Right.
And I can't like, that's kind of weird to say, but like it was a very controlled environment. Like
You couldn't just go do
I
whatever
went
you
from
wanted.
point, yeah, exactly. I went
wasn't
from
just
point
like-
A to point B.
Right. It wasn't like, oh, I found this really cool hike that leads to this small little village where there's this really cool cafe. I think I'll do that today. It was like,
Yeah.
you can do this,
exactly.
you can go this far, and, like,
Yeah. So
be back by this
it
time.
took me a while to realize that,
Yeah.
that like I hadn't actually been to these places, and it took me like actually being to my own places like Houston to realize that like, hey, I hadn't actually experienced these places that I've traveled to, like Qatar and
Right.
Oman, which I didn't even know existed. But yeah, once I kind of realized that, it made me less comfortable with the idea,
Right.
and it went from being like, for sure, this is what I want to do, to
Right.
more of an option. But I mean, in another life, that would have been cool, I guess.
And you've been to some, I mean, you've been to some cool places. So, I mean, it's kind of intense to go like straight from high school, you're like a child, you're living in your parents' house, to boom, you're in the Marine Corps. Now, bam, you're in college and you have all these assignments. So now, for like the first time in a long, you were completely free. Like you would quit your job tomorrow, no one can tell you what to do. You know, like you're just your own man. And you've been to some cool places since getting out of the Marine Corps. You've been to Guatemala. You've taken some amazing pictures there. I know you went to Taiwan, and you took a lot of awesome shots there. So, I mean, how different does seeing the world and going to other countries feel now that you're just like doing it on your own terms?
Dude, honestly, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no safety net. There's no like, you're just out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's telling you what's okay and what isn't. Like, Taiwan was the first place, like the first international travel I did on my own. And that wasn't even like on my own. That was with the University of Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, once this thing blows up, they'll know, but
yeah.
It was like this scholar trip, like the Dean scholar trip. And they're like, hey, pay $500. We'll take you to Taiwan for
insane.
like 2 weeks. I was like, dude, for sure. Sign me up. I applied. Didn't think I'd get it. I got it. And they sent me like the paperwork to pay it maybe like 6 months after I got back. Still haven't paid it.
Whoa. You went to Taiwan for free.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, they're going to get me when they're, you guys are famous. Bail me out of jail.
There you go. Absolutely.
But,
we'll use
so,
the proceeds from all of our podcast sponsors to pay you out of jail.
So I went there, and that was kind of, I mean, obviously there were things we could and couldn't do, like, hey, don't get absolutely shithoused and then come back to the hotel and make us look like fools. But it was really just, hey, this is our hotel. We've got some planned like agenda items, but other than that, you're free to just wander. So I was just wandering around Taipei, Taiwan, which is their like, I mean, really the major city in Taiwan, their New York City, and just wandering around there, going to like street markets and just really just wandering, like just walking down the streets in the middle of the night. And dude, it was honestly like super sketchy because like my mindset was, if it's not in the States, people are out to get you. Because like everywhere that we went, like Qatar, Oman, Djibouti, it's like, dude, there's terrorists out here. They want to like skin you alive.
And you know that like, you're like, okay, everyone is obviously going to be able to tell I'm not from here. I'm clearly an American. They're going to be trying to get one over on me. You know, like they know that I don't speak the language. They know that I, you know, shit, in some places you can't even read the language, you know, like completely different letters. And yeah, dude, you could have been schemed over on anyone. Like anyone could have just.
Absolutely. Just, I'm not at all Taiwanese looking.
Fooled
so
me.
The whole time I was kind of just like, man, like this is really sketchy and I'm really worried. Obviously had a great time, but that was kind of my first experience of international travel without a babysitter, essentially. And while it was scary, it was also kind of like, wow, dude, there's so much out here that I had no idea existed. And I will never go to Taiwan again because on my own, that trip would cost several thousands of dollars just to get there.
Just, you know, just get back into the university. And, I remember when you told me, when he told me he was going, I was like, wonder how quickly I can enroll in the University of Houston. Is there a way I can get in this class and go?
Maybe.
What do you think is the coolest place you've ever been? Is Taiwan up there? Is it like, is it somewhere you went in the Marine Corps? I mean, it might be hard to evaluate because you didn't actually really get to see that place. Is it Guatemala? Is it somewhere here in the States? You know,
I would say like pops to the top of my head. The coolest place I've ever been was Doha, Qatar, which is their like capital city.
It's kind of like a Dubai almost, isn't it? It's just
a
desert and then just money. Like oasis of wealth just in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know, like the coolest, I don't know if that's the right descriptor, kind of just like the most in my face, like, holy shit. Because that was just like, exactly that. Massive skyscrapers that are just glass from the floor to thousands of feet in the air. And then also like all of these Filipino immigrant workers that are like working for no money and they have had their passports taken from them. So they're like trapped there and like essentially indentured servants.
Just modern
so
day
kind of
slaves.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. But like that was the place that was most like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Right.
Most memorable.
Holy
Definitely.
shit. I think Doha has the highest per capita salary. Like the people in Doha per capita are the richest in the world, I
Wow.
believe.
Dude,
It's
I
just,
would believe that.
but what's going to happen when the oil dries up? Then what? You know?
They'll be dead. They don't care.
And
They're gonna go till they die.
the Filipino, you know, the people that have just been kept there will just be walking over their corpses, you know, like the fucking.
Yep.
It's so crazy.
Just taking up their petrodollars out of their pockets.
So,
and
Kamaan,
finally, yeah.
one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, since I haven't seen you in forever. I think the last time we hung out, was it when we watched Game of Thrones? Was it we watched the last
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
of Game of
definitely.
Thrones?
Because he left soon
We
after
did.
that. That was like
Yeah.
right before he left, yeah.
Yeah, last
What a
episode.
great time to be alive.
And I think we had, did we get like turkey legs or
Went
something?
to the turkey leg
did.
hut.
We ate like turkey
Mhm.
legs. That was funny.
Because I wanted a Renaissance meal. I wanted to
Yeah.
just eat like a king,
Yeah.
just with my mutton and my grog.
Yeah, I
and
think
just-
we got beer and turkey legs.
we did.
Didn't have the mead, but yeah,
Yeah.
the beer was close
Um,
enough.
But I really want to talk to you about your adventures traveling around the U.S., man. Like, it's something I want to do. Something I've had the chance to do a little bit, but not nearly the extent that you did.
Yeah, 'cause
being able to
like
yeah.
we talk about all of his international stuff, but you've probably seen like cooler shit just here in America, stuff that a lot of people, you know, so many national parks that people might not know even existed. So I think we have some
America's pretty
pictures.
tight.
We have some pictures of places you've been and shots that you've taken.
Yeah.
And so, you know, folks can get a good look at those. But so you and your girlfriend Taylor, you guys just decided one day, we're going to buy a van and we are going to do this thing. We're going to turn it into a camper, build it out, make it badass. Tell me a little bit about like what you guys have done to convert yourselves into just being full on freaking nomads.
So it's something I had thought about before. Well, I was thinking about like, hey, I've got a pickup truck. I could turn the back into like a little camper. I'd seen all
Right.
these people on YouTube do it. But I never made the move. And then I met Taylor and she was like, hey, this is something I want to do. So it was just kind of on the back burner. And then I moved up to Minnesota. And she was like, is this year going to be the year that we do that? And I was like, well, the only reason it wouldn't be is if we chose not to. So she was like, okay, so we're going to do this. So really it was her being like, this is something I want to do. And I was
Right.
like, oh man, I guess I should stop thinking about it and actually do it.
Right.
So she was kind of the catalyst for getting my ass moving on that. But yeah, so we watched a ton of YouTube videos and we were like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to make a van into a camper.
Right.
But yeah, we just Googled a lot of shit and slapped some plywood into the back of like an old cargo van
Right.
that we got for $2,300 from some like obese mid-70s
Oh.
electrician out in the middle of
Jesus.
nowhere, Minnesota. It was quite interesting. Like the floor was all rusted out, like there's holes in it and stuff.
Who
but
knows what he was using that thing for?
Oh,
Electrician.
Oh,
work.
sure, man.
Yeah.
It's such a silly amount of money to pay for a vehicle.
Yeah.
$2,300. I like the idea that can purchase you something with an engine and four wheels is like insane to me.
Yeah, you kind of feel like a fool for making monthly payments on a
Right.
car. I was sitting there like, dude, I could just be driving this thing.
I know. I have a relatively new truck, and like every time that payment hits on the 6th, I'm like, what have I done? I'm gonna do this for 5 years
Yeah.
every month. Sometimes I've thought about like, maybe I should just burn this thing for the insurance. But, you know, like, what did I do? But it's totally worth it.
Cut that.
So yeah, we'll edit that up. Allstate, don't give me for insurance.
Don't.
But so you had the OG camper van, and then you guys built that out. How long did that take?
Honestly, I don't think it was that long. We didn't get totally finished. We were probably like 80% of the way there. But that probably took like 3 or 4 months. But
Yeah.
we were both like, it was towards the beginning of the pandemic. So we were both newly working from home and our jobs weren't
What a
sure
great
how
way to like get into the pandemic. Like, let's
Yeah,
just
right?
spend our time building out this freaking van.
Yeah,
That's
it was
pretty
super
sick.
nice to have something to do
Right.
versus just like sitting at home watching the news.
And you're like doing it outside, getting fresh air. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So
So-
neither of our jobs knew how to. Taylor's a high school teacher,
Okay.
and I was working at the paper at the time, and I think that's it. Just doing that and going to school. But school and work didn't know how to like transfer that over to working from home, so our workload was lighter than it would have been normally. So we were kind of just cranking on it whenever we had the opportunity. And so we got it done in like 3 or 4 months. But then right before the summer, like maybe 2 weeks before we were supposed to take off, George Floyd was killed up here in Minneapolis, like down the street from where we were living, which was a fucking mad time, as you can imagine.
It was like one of the chapters of the year 2020 that I'll never forget. Like that was craziness. I mean, we live down
kind
here.
of just like turns the page.
We're states and states away from it, but it was like a national event. It was international news, everything that happened here. But it happened right next to you, so things up there, I'm sure, they're just way crazier.
Dude, it was fucking wild. I remember, I want to say it was 2 or 3 nights after it happened when the riots were like really picking up, and we were on. I guess if you think Dallas-Fort Worth, Dallas would be Minneapolis, Fort Worth would be St. Paul.
Yeah.
And there's one street, or there's many streets, but one street, Lake Street, that runs the width of Minneapolis, and then it turns into Marshall and goes into St. Paul. And we were living on Marshall, and then Lake Street was just down the street, and right over there was where I don't remember what precinct it was, 3rd precinct that they got burnt down.
The infamous, like the one, all the world famous pictures of the police.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was right down the street. We drove past it like every day, but that was all going on there. And that was like kind of the locus of the rioting that evening.
Right.
And then we had just taken the van in to an auto body shop that was like maybe 3 blocks over from the 3rd precinct there. So I remember just laying in bed that night, and we're watching the news, looking on our Snapchat maps, like trying to see what's going on.
Right.
And Taylor's like, "Oh man, we got to go get the van." And I was like, "We cannot go down there right now." Like I'm thinking, I can't shoot my way through just a mob of people
as much as he'd like to. No,
to get to the van.
Right.
So we were just kind of like sitting there thinking, like, man, this is something's gonna happen. I was like, no, nothing's gonna happen. Trying to convince myself. The next morning, we wake up, her aunt and uncle send us pictures of the body shop where it was. Like, it's just, the bay doors are just ripped open. All the cars are gone. Like, the lift that it was up on was, like, down on the ground. It was gone out of there. And we were like...
At that point, your heart is just like... Ugh. I mean, that was like your baby that you'd spent months on.
Yeah, and it was super weird because it was like, obviously we were super concerned about the things that were going on there, and like these big picture things, like this man just got murdered by the police. Like, how are we feeling about it? What are we doing about it? But then also something so personal and like totally unrelated was happening. So we were like, dude, what the fuck? So we were just kind of trying to deal with both of those at the same time. And I don't know, it was just fucking madness. But so we drove around looking for it a couple times, obviously didn't find it, and then kind of just gave up on it. We're like, we'll do something else.
Right. And this was like days before, like literally days before you guys were about to set out for your big summer trip. So you had to like re-rack real quick.
Yeah. So luckily we live in the age of the internet, and we were like, dude, let's just hop on Facebook Marketplace. I was like, I want to get one of those sick rooftop tents that all the overlanders have. She was like, I want to sleep on something more than like an 1.5 inch mattress if we're going to be living out of it. And of course I was like, oh dude, that's stupid. But looking back, I'm like, probably made a lot of sense.
Definitely.
So we ended up getting, and it's definitely in 1 or 2 of the photos that I sent y'all, a little teardrop camper.
The rig.
Like literally, just a queen size bed inside a little topper that we just dragged around.
The fact that a queen size mattress fits in that thing is ridiculous.
Dude, that's literally all that fits in there. It was
just that.
We're literally towing around a bed frame.
Right. But then you open that back up, and you've got a kitchen, you've got your own little like pantry with, you know, space to keep your food and stuff. It's kind of all you need. And then you're pulling it with an SUV. You can keep stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was pretty sick. And then, so you guys were out on the road in that rig for, it was like 2 months? No,
we didn't hit 2 months. I think we did like 6.5 weeks.
I bet it felt like 2 months, though. I mean, like...
Yeah. Towards the end, it kind of started dragging because, like, it feels like... Because you're towing something.
Right.
So it's not like you can just, like, zip around the cities. So the cities were super stressful. And then it was like... we didn't have a house lined up for when we got back, so we were kind of thinking about that. So just a lot of stuff happening right when we were supposed to leave kept us from doing all the planning that would have made it possible to just go the whole 3 months. So we kind of, I think 6 weeks we called it at, and then came back to Minnesota. But I mean, that's the longest I've ever lived out of a box before. So it was pretty wild.
I think that's the longest anybody that we know has done that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was going to say, dude, that's pretty brave and courageous of you. And like to just say, all right, well, we're going to do this and we're going to be gone. Like, it's like just leaving it up to like the universe to kind of like help you out a little bit and guide you along your way. But
I mean, like I went out there, I went out there and I linked up with them in Utah. All right, and that was like an 18-hour drive just to get there. And we were only out there for 3 nights. I woke up on day 4 and my fucking back hurt. You know, I was just like, I'm going home, man. You guys keep going. You know, it's an experience, one, just doing that.
Yeah.
But then for that long, I can't imagine it because you guys went from Minnesota and then you like cut through the Dakotas and Montana, right? And then you went down to, or I know you went to South Dakota. Then you cut down to Colorado.
I think so. Yeah. That makes sense. Right?
Then like back through Utah. Then I think you did the West Coast.
Yeah, we kind of like hooked left through west through South Dakota,
It's
and then
all
cut
left
down.
and right, and
I think we hit Utah, like scooted through Arizona, or like the tip of Arizona, Nevada. We were just trying to get to the West Coast,
right,
and then scooted up the coast, and then just beelined it home.
Yeah,
but
dude, so
it was wild.
Tell me what exactly did you get to see? I think I saw a picture of the Red Rocks on there that you sent. And so like, tell me like, what was the experience like being able to see those beautiful places that we have here in the U.S. that a lot of people don't even know exist, really, like those national parks and all the little other state parks that you just never hear about. Like you probably got to drive through and experience. What was that like for you? And you know, how did it make you feel?
Dude, honestly, like in a word, it was amazing, like a fantastic experience. I'd do it again. We're planning on doing it again, like with a van this summer.
a proper van.
Proper van. Fingers crossed we don't, like, we're not taking it into a body shop this time. Fuck it. But no, dude, it was amazing. It was exactly that. Like, there's so much stuff that I had no idea was out there, that we got to experience just because we had really no timeline, no agenda, just go to something that we want to see it, and then decide where we want to go from there.
Right.
Just like a very loose, hey, we want to go west, then south, and then up the coast and back. But like South Dakota, like we never would have imagined that South Dakota, which is like flyover state number 2, only after North Dakota, had so much to offer.
All I know is Mount Rushmore. That's it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that was like a 45-minute trip. Like that was the smallest thing we did there.
Right.
But it's just got, like, there's so much stuff in between the big places. Like you think, oh, Salt Lake City, Utah, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You just go from point A to point B, but there's so much stuff in between. It's like South Dakota, we planned on spending maybe like a day, 2 days there. And we're just going to swing by Mount Rushmore and call it. But we ended up going to Rapid City, which is, I mean, it's like far west South Dakota, and like you would never go there, like on purpose, but we were like, dude, we're gonna go there. And dude, it was the coolest thing. Like we went to this winery that's got, like, it was super tacky, but I think it was called the Naked Winery, and all their wine was named after like sex stuff, but it was like all super tacky, and like they weren't even trying to be cool about it. And they were a harvest host, which is like, all these wineries and breweries will say, hey, you can park your camper behind us. Just make sure you spend some money here. So we like parked behind their tacky little brewery, and there was like a flowing stream that had like trash in it and like cans floating. Yeah. We went to this little winery and we had sex themed wine.
Wow.
And honestly, it was like,
it's
one of those experiences that like, yeah, you wouldn't think you're missing it if you didn't know about it. But once you do it, you're like, wow, that was kind of great. So a lot of that.
I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. I think that's what makes road trips really cool. Like you can fly places all day, but there's just something about a road trip that hits a little bit different, you know? Also, I feel like every winery outside of California is just a little fucking goofy. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I just feel like when it's a winery that's not in California or like somewhere in Europe,
Right.
I just feel like it's fucking goofy somehow. You know, like we have a lot of wineries in
Yeah,
Texas.
because if your wine, oh, do we?
Oh yeah.
Damn,
oh,
I didn't even know.
The Texas Hill Country has become whoa. If I didn't look blown out and white before, I bet I look like a ghost now. I've been inside for 5 days.
Same here, bro. I thought about the same thing.
Like the Hill Country in Texas has become the new Napa Valley. Like everything here, once you go out to like Fredericksburg, west of San Antonio, out in the Hill Country, you can do winery tours. They do like murder mystery winery tours where you just like go to a winery and drink wine and do like cool wine things. And they do like aged cheese and wine tastings, and it's really interesting.
Yeah,
So,
we actually got to this point now. I was talking to, I actually do a podcast called Smoking and Toasting.
Yeah.
As a plug for that, go check it out. It's really awesome. If you like anything, spirits, beer, cigars. But we had a wine expert, we call him wine expert, sommelier, talking about how good the Texas wine is getting out here. It's like, at one point it was like, okay, it's okay. We're trying new things, trying to climb it, see how it works. But now we got to the point we know the exact grapes to use. We know how to use them, when to plant
the
them,
idea
and now
that there's more than 2 types of grapes is like,
they're called varietals. You got to get that right.
I know,
varietals.
red and white and Concord.
Yeah.
I mean, good for them, right?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's really cool to know that Texas is just another one of those things that we're going to have awesome wine coming out of Texas. It's really cool. We got awesome bourbon, whiskey, you name it. Get some cool stuff out of here, man.
I know a lot of like bourbon and whiskey, a lot of Texas-made whiskey is getting big right now. But I would have never known there was wineries in the Dakotas. You know, that's road trips are so sick. And so you guys, how many national parks did you hit?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't think we hit that many national parks. I know in Utah we hit 4, maybe 5, because you and Clarissa were there for 2 of them, Bryce Canyon and Zion, right?
The 2 that matter.
Yeah. Hey, Capitol Reef was pretty
You told
sick.
me that. You said that was like your favorite one.
Yeah, Capitol Reef was dope, and I didn't even know it existed until we were like, let's go to
doesn't
Utah
even sound
National
real.
Park.
What's that Capitol Reef?
Yeah, right. No reefs. I'm not sure how it has the name.
Yeah,
but it's like Zion, but more, I don't know, more sandstony and less mountain granite.
So Zion has a lot of
Zion
has a lot of those big rocks, like giant rock-looking formations that look crazy and cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, Zion has like a lot of slot canyons, and like the drive-in, you see a bunch of big rock features and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah. But
Zion was like monolithic, and then Capitol Reef was kind of like slightly more subdued, but like, hey, we're kind of like Zion.
Right.
Please love us.
It
was dope. I don't know. I think it was our favorite because we got a campsite on like public land that overlooked the park.
Nice.
So it was kind of like we were in the park while we were camping, and that was the biggest part. But
nice. Yeah.
Like if you just look at like who's got the highest rocks, probably Zion.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that Utah has 5 national parks.
I was about to say.
It's got to be like one of the most. I know Alaska has like 7. Alaska has some stupid amount, but no one goes there because like 3 people live in Alaska.
Alaska's just a national park.
Alaska is a national park, but it doesn't matter because you can only go there for like 2 months a year, and like there's 3 people there running the whole state. But Utah really is incredible. I wish I could have seen like the rest of y'all's trip, but Utah like blew me away. You know, I just used to think Utah and like, all right, Salt Lake City, you know, like
Karl Malone, John Stockton.
Right, you know, the Postman. And now you think of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and those guys. But now it's like I just want to go back to Zion, and I want to do the other parks I didn't do. I didn't do Arches. I didn't do Canyonlands. And I didn't do Capitol Reef. Capitol Reef didn't even sound real. The idea of a landlocked state having something called reef in the title is really cool.
Strange.
But you went, and it was like
doesn't make any sense.
Ridiculously hot when you were in Capitol Reef. It was like 105 degrees or something like that, right? It was crazy hot.
Yeah, so Capitol Reef wasn't too bad. I think it was in the 90s for Capitol Reef, but we only got to Capitol Reef when we did because we were in Moab, like right by Arches.
Moab has
like
Canyonlands and Arches together, right? Pretty much. Aren't they like both in Moab? Yeah.
Yeah, we just blew right past Canyonlands. It was too hot there too.
Yeah,
but it was like we went to Arches at like 7 a.m. for sunrise because like we would hit all the. like whenever we were by a national park, we would go drive through it for sunrise because that just was the move. It was cooler and like everything looked like cooler, like temperature wise, and everything looked way sicker when it was like sunrise. But so we ripped through it then, and then at like 9:30, 10 in the morning, it was 101 degrees. So we were just laying there under our tarp, just like,
Jesus.
dude, what the fuck are we doing?
That would have been when
And
I
Taylor
headed
was
back
like,
to
"Man,
Minnesota. I would have been like, yeah,
Right?
let's turn around.
Which place
No,
had
Taylor was like, why are we here? What's up?
which place had the best stars? The being able to see, like, did you ever get to see like massive amount
Ooh.
of just
You see the
beautiful
Milky
stars?
Way?
That's tough, man. Because we, definitely, yeah. We were so far from civilization in most of the places we were that it was kind of just like too many stars to comprehend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't pick out like a top place, but
Okay.
for sure, everywhere we were, like when night would start to fall, it would just be like, holy shit! Like
I know it's
it
so
seems like
mind blowing.
just from horizon to horizon
Yeah.
would just be stars, and like they feel so close you can like reach out and touch them. It
Yeah.
was fucking wild. I didn't expect it, but
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah, dude. I went to Big Bend recently, National Park, where Tom's about to go.
I'm going next week.
and
Nice.
I get to watch Lady Bird, his dog.
Oh,
But,
yeah. LB.
but
Hell yeah.
that was the first time I had that experience of being able to see the Milky Way and the stars.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, being in the city, you just have no idea. We're so disconnected with knowing that.
Legitimately.
Yeah, with knowing that, okay, every night you're supposed to be able to see naturally, as you know, as a human on this planet Earth, we're supposed to be able to see the galaxies and the stars in the skies like every night,
Right.
and be able to realize, oh yeah, that's where we are. We're floating in the middle of this giant
Right.
universe. And when I went to Big Bend, man, you really just got to. It's like a blanket just thrown
Right.
over you, and
Yeah,
it's
you can just-
incredible.
it's right there in your
Absolutely
face.
It's like a
incredible.
whole nother experience because it's like a totally different nighttime. It feels like you're on a different planet because
Yeah.
if you go outside here at nighttime, you look up, you see like 4 stars.
Yeah, maybe 5, 6.
You have to try to find them. You're like,
Maybe 5 or 6.
yeah.
Yeah,
But you go out there and it's like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
So
They're all there.
coming back from that experience,
Mhm.
after you got back, you're unloaded, everything's done, you can settle in and you can reflect and meditate on what that experience was like, being able to see all those places, doing all those experience. Like, what was that like for you? Like, just the whole experience of it.
Honestly, it was kind of like once we were back,
Yeah.
the first couple of days were kind of a relief because it's like, okay, we got a hot shower every night, we got
Yeah.
food, and we got like a more comfortable bed. But then as we kind of just got into the grind of like 9 to 5 work and like wake up in the morning at a set time and do this, and then you're off work, so you watch some TV, you eat dinner, and you go to bed. It's kind of like definitely kind of draining to like go from such a free existence to just like regimented and boring, really.
Right.
It definitely put into perspective kind of the things that we take for granted, like, oh, shit, just knock this guy, like time off and being able to like do things freely. Because like you think, oh, the weekend's here, I can do whatever I want. But in reality, you've got 48 hours until you're
Right.
like locked back in by the clock.
Right.
But just having all those weeks of really no one having any control over us but us, put that into perspective and made us realize like, hey man, this is something we want to do as often as possible. And like right now we've got the opportunity because Taylor's teaching, so she's got the summers off, and then I was in school, and then now I'm waiting to go into grad school. So with the job I have now, I'll have the summer off. So we're planning to take as much time as we can now while we have the opportunity to like revisit that experience that we had and take advantage of like the time we've got to just live freely.
Yeah, because you mentioned like not having any time constraints and shit like that. And I think that's kind of like a situation that not many people are able to have. Like the idea of just like, oh, I've got these 3 months where I can kind of just set my own timetable and do this and do that. So I know it's kind of hard for a lot of people to do stuff like that. But like, what tips would you say you had? I mean, obviously not everyone can do this as much as everyone would like to, but if someone did want to set out and do something similar to what you've done, like what would you say everyone should know going into it?
I think honestly, the biggest thing that we've taken away from it is like, if you treat every weekend like a vacation, it makes it more than a weekend. Because like before we went and had this whole experience. It was kind of like we're stuck in the groove until summer, and then we're free. But then like now, every week we're like obviously grinding through the week, like doing things we don't want to do, going to work, going to school, whatever. But then when every weekend rolls around at 5 p.m. every Friday, it's like we have this whole like blank canvas. What can we do with it? So we haven't done a ton just because it's been like, obviously there's a pandemic going on. So we're kind of limited to the places we can explore, and it's fucking cold up here. So we can't really just like go out camping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing I would say is just like take every opportunity that you have and don't limit it because you've got like bookending limitations on it. Like you've got a weekend, you have more than 48 hours to just go out and go on a camping trip, like go visit somewhere that you've always wanted to. Like I wouldn't have even thought that this was possible for me unless Taylor was like, hey, are we going to do this? And then I was sitting there like, I can't think of a single reason that that actually limits us to not doing this.
Right.
Like I can think of reasons to convince myself that we shouldn't, but there's no real thing keeping me from it. So it was kind of just like, hey, this is possible for anybody. Like hop in your car and you can live out of your car for a week. Like it doesn't like, you think about people living out of their car and you're like, oh dude, trash.
Must be rough.
But, yeah, but it's not. If you choose to do it, go have an adventure, man.
So it basically just boils down to go outside. Like just go outside, do it.
Yeah, if you can, go outside.
I love what you said. Like treat every weekend like it's a blank canvas almost. It's just it really shows you that there's an endless amount of possibilities that you can really explore. I mean, even here in Houston alone, like we don't think about it, but we're only 30 minutes to an hour outside of we can go camping. Like we can go camping 30-minute hour drive out.
There's state
so many
parks
places
everywhere
like
that are really awesome. Yeah. There's
Brazos Bend State Park, do it.
Oh yeah. Oh, Oh, dude, with the alligators
and
stuff.
Yeah.
My friend just went there.
Gators, dude, some big old gators.
Yeah.
Like fucking dinosaur prehistoric level, like primordial soup type dinosaurs just out there. But then there's also the observatory right there. So you can go look at gators all day, and then when the sun goes down, it's like you can just look at the rings of Saturn out there with the crazy high-powered telescopes that they have. So it's amazing.
Yeah,
you should go. If you haven't been,
I have
you
not
should
been. I should, for sure.
I can't take the dog, though. I'd be worried that, Gator would just scoop up
Nah,
LB.
dude, survival of the fittest, man.
Yeah, right. If she can't cut it there, then she just needs to be weeded out of the gene
got no
pool.
place. Yeah, we're gonna go south this summer, and it's Taylor's like she hasn't had any experience with gators because she's lived up north most of her life, and I'm like, dude, if they get the dogs, it wasn't meant to be.
Has she ever seen a gator like in person, just in its habitat?
I don't think so, because we were talking about them the other night, and she was like, "No, that's wild."
They are a weird animal. They are a strange animal because they are dinosaurs. They're crazy. They've got to be like one of the oldest unchanged species on the planet, and there are just places down here where they just naturally occur all the time. Me and a friend of ours, Jordan, we've run over an alligator on accident. We were just going down this dark road at night. We're like, what is that? Is that a log? And until we were right up on it, and then just crushed this alligator in his Nissan, just obliterated. And Jordan was like, should I turn around? I was like, you were going 55, man. He's gone. And they're so long. He literally was laying across the width of the road.
You could have just hit his tail and maybe he's still alive.
No. Right over the middle.
Oh, damn.
50-50 right in the middle, Continental Divide style, just right over him.
Wow.
So
great imagery.
Gators are crazy, but I'm sure she's probably seen stuff that, like, when I was up there in the northern Midwest, I saw a beaver just in its natural habitat.
Nice.
I thought it was a rat. Like, being from the city, I was like, oh, what the fuck? Do rats swim like that? It was a beaver.
Nice. That's
awesome, dude,
man.
I've never seen a beaver. Saw a moose a couple summers ago. That shit's fucking
That's
terrifying.
wild.
Nice.
In its natural element?
We were like super far away from it though.
Oh, really?
Like, not even close, but
wow.
Mama moose and her little baby.
Dude,
they would have killed me if they had a chance.
I think moose actually do kill a good amount of people per year.
Yeah.
Hippos kill more people a year than sharks.
I believe it.
Hippos actually kill a lot of people.
I heard hippos are a super aggressive animal.
Well, and what happens is they exist in these areas that, like, in these like bodies of water that people use for bathing and stuff that people use, like in Africa, a lot of waters that are heavily populated. Hippos are just in there.
And they're like, that's my territory. Why are you
You're
in
in
here?
the hippo's house.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Animals like that are crazy. Being in the city, anything other than like your common squirrel
raccoon.
just feels like.
If you ever are bored on YouTube, just watch a hippo eating a watermelon whole.
Yeah.
It'll blow your mind.
Oh,
It's insane.
I bet it just like.
It just smashes it. Yeah.
Boom. Gone.
I saw an armadillo alive for the first time in my life a couple weeks ago. You know the Arboretum?
Yes, they're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over the Arboretum right now.
They're just all armadillos
Huh.
everywhere, and they're so chill with people. You could just be walking, and they'll just be like burrowing right next to you. So we went and we took the dog, and we're just walking, and I was like, "What is that sound?" I thought it was just like maybe a squirrel. I look, out comes armadillo. He's just walking out, and I've only seen them as like roadkill or like in pictures or in cartoons, and he was just alive. And to be honest with you, pretty cute.
They're super cute.
Yeah.
Dude. Their ears, their ears are so cute. And remember I showed you the first time I went and saw them at the Arboretum. We're like, dude, what is an armadillo? Like, what
Right.
is it? It's got a half shell. It's got a tail, weird rabbit ears, a little snout
Yeah.
nose. It's a weird looking
It
animal.
belongs to a very small animal family. It's
Right.
just like in there with, it's like in the same family as anteaters, and like that's it pretty much.
Right.
It's like I forgot what
Kind
the
of
name
just
of
the,
it.
like, we don't know what the fuck these animals are. group.
Exactly. They were just like, okay, what is it? We don't know. Put it in that phylum over there. I think that's the word phylum for like
Yeah.
smaller than, because it's technically a mammal, right? It's got
Yeah,
little
it's a
hairs.
mammal for sure.
But then under mammal, like, okay, so
It has scales and hair.
yeah, that's strange.
It is weird.
Okay, all right. Speaking of weird animals, I'm gonna pull this up. Cayman, you won't be able to see it, but
Is this the
You can
pink
just
fairy?
describe it.
no. I want. Hold on, let me pull this up. So I'm gonna navigate over here.
Bro,
Cayman, there have been. I want to know what you think about this. They have found these blue dogs.
oh yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh shoot, my link is gone. There's this chemical plant, and you can talk to Adam about this while I find the link.
It's supposed to be in Russia, you said?
Yeah,
It's in Russia.
There's a chemical
Oh.
plant in Russia that's been
I
closed
believe
for
it now.
6 years.
Yeah,
you
you
guys
know,
have to see this.
you know something sketchy's going on out there, man. In the middle of nowhere, Russia, blue dogs, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, okay,
Like they're
here it
just
is. Here it
dogs,
is.
but they're
They,
blue.
it looks like they've been dyed blue. Someone just bathed them in blue dye and then just
So-
let them run wild, and people are finding them.
A pack of blue dogs was found roaming near a shuttered chemical plant in Russia. And it seems like they're just died, right? It seems like,
Dead.
you know, but I don't know if they're consuming something outside the chemical plant that's turning them blue,
It's very weird looking.
but they're just this species of blue dogs. They've been altered. And I think you can like adopt them maybe. I don't know. They took them to
no
a shelter.
way, no way.
I don't know. All I know is I want one of these damn blue dogs.
No.
Dude,
It'll be great for like the 6 months that you have it before you die of radiation.
Yeah, right. I feel like if you just like, you know, put a Geiger counter next to this thing, you
It's
know,
so
he's
weird.
just like teeming with freaking radiation.
But dude, pull up that pink armadillo thing. Or not armadillo. What was it? It's
It's,
a,
yes, it's called a pink
fairy-
fairy armadillo. Came in if you have access to like your phone or whatever, just type in pink fairy armadillo. It's
Dude,
one of the
sounds fake.
rarest animals. If I could,
I never
type.
knew this existed until me and Tom went on a Google random
Bro,
search.
What? The
Pink fairy
absolute-
armadillo.
Pink fairy armadillo. Look at this thing.
He looks like
This
a
is
piece
a
of like
joke.
sashimi. You know, he looks like
Yeah.
sushi almost.
Why are
so-
his hands so big?
yeah, dude,
'cause
it's so weird looking.
they uses them for like digging or something. But so look at
Ugh.
this thing. This exists on our planet.
And it only exists in a very small
Right.
part of the world, like somewhere in South America. Like it's only been seen by a few people.
Right, and they live out in the desert, kind of like in the sand, I believe. And I
That is
think
absolutely
scientists have
ridiculous.
estimated like less than 100 of them.
Yeah, I think there's less than 100 left on the planet.
How is that possible?
I know. He
What
does
even
look like a
is
little
that?
sushi roll, or he looks like a little.
He does.
Anyways, yeah.
So there's some crazy animals: moose, armadillos, all the way to pink fairy armadillos and blue dogs.
Fucking blue dog. Dude, it's Pokemon. It's just Pokemon.
for real.
It is it, and they keep finding shit. How are they
Yeah.
still finding shit? But you told me about this shit that I don't know, Cayman, if you've heard of this. Have you ever heard of the Mongolian death worm?
Oh,
No.
See, that's
No.
another.
Oh,
now, I
no.
think it's horseshit. I don't
I
think
think
this
it might
is
be
real.
fake too.
Apparently, there have been reports for hundreds of years in Mongolia
Huh.
of this worm snake thing. They say it has hands though, right? Like arms or. No. It has no head.
No.
It looks like a sausage essentially.
Yeah, they said a sausage.
Apparently, if you touch it, you die instantly. And it just lives out in the desert. And if like you see it, it's too late, which is why
Yeah.
no one's ever taken a picture of it
Yeah.
or
But
anything.
there's been researchers
Right.
Like credible people out there searching for this
Right.
thing. They're out there searching for years and have never found it.
There's quotes of people
yeah.
like for like 200 back in the 1800s.
Yeah, I think-
quotes of people describing this worm that has no head, no eyes. It just looks like a sausage.
Damn, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the guy who went out to Mongolia when the first original Europeans go out there and document back when the Mongols are taking over?
You're acting like you're
What is
asking
his
me who
name?
Tom Cruise is. Who's the guy that went to Mongolia
I forgot.
to
Marco
discover-
Polo.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, you should have just said, "What's the game you play in the pool?"
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marco
Anyways,
Polo.
he has written accounts about it as well.
Marco Polo has
Yes.
talked about the Mongolian death worm,
I believe
Mongolian
so.
death worm.
Yeah.
and he lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
The Mongolian death.
I
worm.
don't think he saw it. I think he just written accounts of people telling him about it.
I mean, there's stories of all kinds of. There's accounts of dragons.
Right.
You know.
You know, in China, they're still building their buildings have those giant holes that look like giant windows. Those are for the dragons to fly through.
No, it's not.
I swear to God,
Get outta
they're called
here.
dragon windows.
They just call it that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean Gorilla Glue isn't made from like melted down gorilla bones.
No,
you
it's
know,
obviously
Wrong
not-
about that. Surprise.
But no, I mean, like even Native Americans have stories of like winged creatures that are described like dragons. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting. You have to ask yourself, if all of these civilizations that previously had no contact with each other, right? So people in Asia, people in England, people in hundreds of years ago in America, thousands of years ago in America, they're talking about these creatures. What the fuck does that mean? You know?
Bro, do you want to know another weird creature that I found out it exists?
What?
It's actually a human, but they have dog faces. There's like humans with dog face. I'm not making this up, bro. Look, there's like been multiple accounts. You can
If I look
this up.
this up,
Please look
if
it
I
up.
start to look it up,
Please look this up. Just type in dog face man or something like that.
Dog face. man.
Over history, like throughout history, there's been accounts
put on incognito
of,
mode or something.
of people.
Dog-faced
Yeah, dog-
man.
Yes, and so they've been accounts of like multiple accounts of different
Adam.
explorers. Hold on. There's been multiple accounts of explorers. I don't know what you're finding over here. But
Yeah, put it on screen. I don't know if it's on
don't
screen
show
or not
that,
right now.
bro. What is that?
No, put it on screen, Adam. You
All
want
I'm
it?
getting is
Okay,
that
you're-
sideshow kid from
you're
Russia, the
Googling
dog
fucking
face boy.
Google
who's just
images.
Really hairy.
What do you want me to search on?
Okay, no. Type in throughout history accounts of search accounts of dog-faced people throughout history.
Accounts of dog.
Oh, and also I
Face.
got a Vox article about Biden's lying dog face pony soldier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't
Wait,
look images, dude. Go to.
I know.
Is
I will.
that
I
what
will.
you're referring to?
No, so I want Kaman. You tell me what you think about this, right? Did he just pull that out of his ass, or is that an
Look
actual
right there.
term?
Three historical accounts of dog-headed men. Right there. Go down.
Oh yeah,
Marco
no,
Polo.
But have you ever heard anyone
One of
call
them is
anyone
Biden's
else
remark.
a pony soldier?
No, never. I don't even know what that is. You just
Somebody
made
said
that
it's from a movie. I don't. Yeah.
up. I don't think we can put YouTube videos.
Yeah,
movie
okay.
before my
But-
time.
We can't. All right, we can't.
But
Put
just
up a
read.
YouTube
Just
video.
read what it says on the click it and then go to the description.
You found something about dog face people?
Yeah.
A strange history of
well,
dog-headed men.
Adam
Wait, go back.
thinks he found something.
Go back.
Well, I'm gonna read the description of this video.
Oh, there was an article though too on the top.
Okay. Where?
Right there. Strange history of dog-headed men. Mysterious universe. .org. It's .org, so you can believe it.
That's not true. That's not scientific. Throughout history, we have cases of wondrous and fantastical beasts and humanoids that make appearances in art, literature, and indeed even in ancient bestiaries and the journals of explorers. These odd. Okay, get to the meat and potatoes of this. Oh my
Bro,
god!
I'm telling you, I'm
Here's
telling you, this is real shit.
Cayman, I'm
bro.
looking at a Renaissance painting of 5 dog-faced humanoids
No.
counting grain.
Look right here. The
From
Greek
4
physician right here.
Why are they counting grain?
Oh, because they're doing commerce.
They're supposed to be a civilization or cultures of people that have dog heads.
In around 400 BC, the Greek physician Ctesias wrote an intriguing and detailed account of the cynocephali of the mountains of India, which was at the time known as Indica. In his account, he describes a tribe of people with the heads of dogs. I mean, maybe they're just ugly. And
All right,
he was
no,
just
okay.
like, they got
so
dog
that's all.
faces.
That's all I wanted you to see. But look,
We're not gonna
that's
give that
only
any more
one.
credit
That's
than-
only one account of it. There's been multiple accounts, like on islands, random islands, coming across people with dog heads. Random in Africa, people with like no mouths and like random things. Like you just look at historical accounts. There's some weird shit written about the history of that stuff, man. It's weird.
Well, I mean, then there was
No
for
mouths?
Yeah,
no
like people with no
mouths.
mouth. It's just random people that you come across that these like random explorers who are going across these regions they've never seen before
Yeah.
and encountering random people that they write about. And you're like, how do you explain this? Is this real fantasy? Was he on some hallucinogen? Like, what the hell is happening?
I mean,
But it's just weird shit.
I will concede that there have been like weird animals that appear that there's no explanation for. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Montauk monster.
No.
So Montauk.
How did
is
this
a
happen?
beach-
Why are we talking about
I don't
random
know.
beasts right now?
But this is like a good note for.
Oh, because we looked at that little pink armadillo.
Oh, the pink armadillo. Yes, that's what it was. It all goes back to the pink fairy armadillo. So Montauk Beach has had like a number of weird species just wash up on the shore. Weird things that look like a bird, dog, fish hybrid.
Wow.
Like they just wash up on the shore as if like, you know, a beached whale would or something like that. But it like these animals appear that look like they should not be seafaring creatures. Some people claim that there's like a facility off the coast of Montauk Beach where they're trying to create human-animal
Oh my
hybrids,
God.
full-on anamorph style.
So there's pictures of these online?
Yeah. All right. So, all right, you and Kamaan talk for a second while I pull up the Montauk
Kamaan.
monster, and we can.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, man. You've been
Oh man, my
freaking awesome.
pleasure.
But I really was super excited though originally when we first mentioned your name. I was like, yes, Kamaan, because like Tom was like showing me like of y'all documenting building the van, going on this adventure and all this. And I was like so excited for you, even though I don't get to talk to you really ever. But it was still just so exciting to get to see that, and I'm really happy that you got to come on here and share that experience with people, because for me, like I love traveling. And I know a lot of people out there do, but either, like you said, like get locked into the 9 to 5, you know, or whatever that life, all these things that life throws at you, and you just never get to it and never do it. And so I think it'll be a real inspiration for some people to hear your experience and your story. And, you know, maybe they'll
Yeah,
get to do
dude,
it
my
too.
pleasure. Thank you for having me on here, man. It's been a while since, like, I haven't gotten to talk about myself for a while. So it's fantastic.
That's always fun.
You can always come
Yeah,
on and talk
I'm
about
glad we
yourself.
got. You just rattle off. Yeah, this is Kamaan for the 9th time this year. He's gonna talk.
Oh, I think
Whoa,
we lost you,
you're
Kamaan.
gone.
Kamaan, we lost you.
Oh, hold on. Technical difficulties.
It probably like timed out because you were using it for too long. It was like, are you still here?
Yeah.
This is a great time to mention our sponsor, EOS Webcam. No, I'm just kidding. I wish we had a sponsor. All right. Well, while Kamaan's dealing with that, let's look at the Montauk monster. I managed
Oh,
to
yeah,
find
please
him.
pull him up.
So you
Do it.
tell me, you be the judge here, okay? And this is not like a joke. He even has a Wikipedia page, the Montauk monster. What
Wait,
the
pull
fuck
up a
is
bigger,
this?
Pull up a bigger picture of
Oh,
that.
we're back.
Hold on. Let me see a bigger. That
yeah.
just looks like a seal.
Yeah, that is a seal. I'm trying
Pull,
to.
like, or zoom in. Like, can you just zoom in on it?
It's hard because these images are really large. It's just, it's like for some reason when you preview them on. Oh, look at that. That's a separate incident. Let's see. How do you? I don't really know how to. zoom
Could they
here.
just be? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, those look weird.
See, that's not normal.
That
And-
looks freaking weird.
Now,
dude.
Kamaan, you'll see these when the episode
That
goes
looks like
up.
a dog. Some of these could be just, you know,
Nasty dogs.
bloated animals that.
No, but it has a beak.
Yeah, no, that looks freaking weird. Can you zoom in on it, like
Oh,
with
what
the
the-
with the keyboard?
So it's hard because I have this really wonky keyboard that's not normal.
I want to
but
look at it closer. 'cause
Maybe
it
if
looks
I
so strange.
Maybe if I go.
The ears almost look like hooves or something. Doesn't even look real.
Here, let's go over here. We're gonna go to Google Images. Montauk monster, and it has a Wikipedia page. This like people have claimed to have been there when these pictures were taken. It's not like this is a joke. You know, it's not like this is just like some stupid image that was created. Let's see, Montauk monster.
And yeah, those definitely don't belong on the in water. Like they obviously have no fins,
Right.
or anything that.
Oh, okay. Look at
gives
that. That
them-
looks like a chupacabra or something. Yeah.
Why is Obama next to him?
Obama's on anything you search, you'll probably find Obama pop up somehow.
Okay, and does anyone say that this resembles anything that we know of?
I mean, yeah, people have tried to like break it down and say, okay, well, these teeth kind of resemble the teeth structure of this species.
Yeah, it looks like a
and-
canine.
Yeah. So I
Very
mean,
strange.
it's disturbing.
I wouldn't doubt I wouldn't doubt that we are doing some crazy experiments that the public does not
Just
know
washed over from
Yeah.
fucking Russia or something.
about. I mean, come on.
we've been cloning animals for a
Yeah.
while now. I mean, we cloned
Yeah.
a sheep years ago.
Oh, long
So
time
maybe
ago.
these are just
Dude,
the,
yeah,
like,
wasn't that like early 2000s, Dolly?
this is just the mistake pile now.
Right.
I think we just cloned like a ferret or something. I know I should have kept the article, but and I don't really feel like going like sieve through the internet to go find it again. But I think we've just recently made some other breakthrough in cloning.
So if we've cloned these animals, what makes you think that we haven't tried to clone something else and it didn't work out and we just didn't say anything
That's
about
probably
it?
what the Montauk monster is. They were just
Probably.
like, get rid of
That's
this abomination.
like one of the trash pile for like the splicing.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, we can clone, we're good.
Okay,
Let's put
so
them
that's
together.
a weird thing that what is it called?
Gene splicing?
Yes, what is the name for? There's like a name for the technology.
CRISPR?
CRISPR. Oh my God!
Cayman,
If
are you familiar
anyone
with CRISPR?
doesn't know about CRISPR,
The only time
It
I
is-
have heard that term is when I was in like a freshman level biology course and we were talking about like DNA
Right.
testing at crime scenes. So
Okay,
you're gonna
if
have
you
to,
see a bill come across your
yeah,
at
don't-
work talking
Burn
about
it.
making CRISPR legal, burn it. All right?
burn it.
It's like
burn pile.
parents have the ability to kind of select gene. They basically get to like, it's like Build-A-Bear for your baby.
Yeah,
You
it's
just get to like,
weird, man.
I'll take a little bit of this gene and he'll have green eyes
Yeah.
and he'll have, he'll
He'll
be
be able to
6'4".
jump. He'll have a 45-inch vertical.
Yeah.
Make him, whatever you want.
So, I mean, that's something. I think we're getting too far. We're like, someone needs to stop humanity from, like, we're doing too much.
We're playing God.
Yeah.
Is what we're doing,
We're starting to play God.
and it's not okay. It's not.
No, we're gonna have a bunch of like perfect little test tube babies
Yeah.
running the world by 2020. By
No, I think it's cool if like I think that program would be dope if it's like publicly funded so it doesn't so there's less of an impact. Like it's not just the rich people getting it. It's like if I can pick if my baby's got a 45-inch vertical, man, I'm gonna say yes.
But so I mean, like ethically, you're fine with it. You would be
Yeah,
fine
that's the
with
bigger question. Should
I mean,
we be doing
because
it?
it's not. I mean, you're not doing anything that's okay. It is unnatural, but you're kind of like coaxing natural processes to do what you like
Yeah.
versus like actually playing God, which is like doing something from nothing. Like it's like we know how it works, so now we can kind of influence it to do what we want.
because it's still the basic same process, right? Like you're getting chromosomes from the man and the woman, but then you're just going in and like just kind of like
Yeah, instead of it naturally happening, where some people naturally get these things and others don't, well, you can specifically choose to do it. But the real concern for me is like, are we gonna start creating freaking war machines? Like people like build soldiers and like
I know,
or
right?
like it's just like where does the road end?
just
like
designing
where does it
people
end?
with
you know?
like they can just run for like 3 hours straight and they're super strong and they're perfect look maybe.
Yeah.
And then maybe like all of
It'd be
us
like the
old,
Clone Wars.
all the old broken humans will just be regarded as like expendable.
Yeah.
We'll be the ones doing all their labor and like their bidding, and they're just
All right. Speaking of government and crazy shit going on, all right, we got to talk about what happened at the Pentagon, or what's happened with the Freedom of Information Act. I think I sent you the article.
Oh yeah,
you have
okay,
it.
yeah, I
All
do
right.
have
What
it.
is
Cayman,
happening?
have you heard about?
Do you know what the Freedom of Information Act is?
Yeah, but the context that typically I encounter it in is like making FISA requests for like court documents and like police records and stuff that like low level kind of stuff. I don't know. I feel like you guys are about to hit me with some huge revelation.
A lot of
It
the
is some
stuff
crazy
that
shit.
has kind of been coming out is kind of like the part that us little internet trolls like me are really interested in is the aliens. You know, like give me the alien information. So 4 days ago, it came out that the Pentagon has confirmed they have been doing experiments on and using materials retrieved from UFOs, crashed UFOs. They've apparently been working with a new metal that does not occur on this planet. Let me pull that up.
Methanol or methanol?
It's
or
called like nitidol.
Something like
Let's not look at the Montauk Monster. Okay, so I'm gonna read this for you, Kaman, since you can't see it. So here you go. Strap into your chair.
Let's get to
there.
the meat. Let's get to the meat.
The USA's Defense Department headquarters have admitted to testing wreckage they gathered from UFO crashes. Researcher and author Anthony Bragalia has said. Bragalia has written to the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency as part of a Freedom of all right, yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Bragalia said that the DIA let out 154-page test results regarding a mysterious memory metal called nitinol, which can remember its original shape when folded. Bragalia revealed in his blogs that the UFO explorations, that a stunning admission by the U.S. government that it possesses UFO debris that has recently, was recently made in a response to the Freedom of Information Act, yada, yada, yada. Much of the details are redacted. So let's see. What can be gleaned is that these technologies represent a literal quantum leap beyond the properties of all existing material known to man. He also added that in the pages he received, there have been repeated mentions of advanced technology reports surrounding nitinol, described as a shape recovery alloy. The nitinol has similar properties to the memory metal that was found near Roswell, New Mexico, at the UFO crash site from 1947. So basically, the Pentagon has said that they've been working with this metal. The received documents have also said that the Pentagon was trying to test whether the metal nitinol could be integrated into the human body for health benefits.
Yeah, that was the weirdest part. I don't know where that was going.
Yeah, it's very weird. But just the idea that they have said, we have obtained materials from UFO wreckage. They're not saying, it's guaranteed it's not from this planet, but they are saying there have been crashed UFOs that we have stumbled upon the wreckage of.
Yes.
We have the materials found at that wreckage site.
Which is huge.
That is essentially, for me, that's good enough of like an admission of there are aliens.
Yeah, because that puts everything into question. Like I literally just listened to a podcast about like all the shit they found at Roswell, and then all of the government statements that came out and said, no, we did not, like they specifically said, we did not find this metal that like you can crumple like aluminum foil, but then it springs back to its original shape. Like they literally just described that exact thing and said, hey, actually we do have this. So it just makes like, what else have they, what else have they officially denied?
Like if that's the shit they feel fine with enough to like let us know, what's the shit they're not telling us,
Dude.
But the fact that this is coming out, especially we had that New York Times article that came out showing the tic-tac shape
UFO, the fighter jet
like the
camera
fact
footage.
that came out and now this is coming out, and then we're sending Perseverance rover to Mars to find life. It's literally one of its main goals is to find microbial life.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff
the
like
purpose
that.
of that is the main on the header of the mission of this thing. Its purpose is to go to Mars and to try and find alien life. So the fact that that's that thing's mission, and then Kamaan, are you familiar with the Tic Tac UFO video? I'm sure you've seen it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you have to watch it.
So it's like the footage from a fighter jet that was captured. I think it was like back in the 90s, and it's all IFR footage. So it's it's infrared, but you essentially see this thing that's moving at a rate of speed that is just like not capable by anything that we have. It goes from like 60,000 feet up or 30,000 feet up to like just a few feet off the water in like a second. It moves at a speed that no one can even understand. We have no idea what it is, but they've been releasing videos of UFOs like this. The government has, and now they're telling us about this memory metal, and now we're sending a rover to Mars to look for alien life. And I was talking to Adam about this earlier. I think they are slowly trying to get us more comfortable with these ideas. I think we're about 15 to 20 years away from them saying, we have confirmed we're not alone in the universe. We've made first contact. I don't think it's that far. I don't think we would be receiving information like this unless they had plans to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they've already kept it, if this is true, if this is the case, that all this is happening, like
why would they tell us now?
Why now? And at the same time, why this information? Why these little bits and pieces of information?
And they're not telling us the real cool shit.
Stuff.
We're getting the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through all these reports we have of aliens from 200 years, onward. What do we feel okay with them knowing about? All right, give that to them and call it the freedom of information. Whatever, just get it off my desk.
Right.
So it's like I really think we're about 20 years away, tops.
What do you think, Kamaan?
Dude, I don't know. 20 years sounds
that
really,
is pretty close.
Really, yeah. Because like, when was Roswell? I have no idea
47,
what the timeline is.
47.
47, and they just confirmed, hey, the metal that we found there was for real.
Right.
So I think we got some time. I'm thinking like when my kids are in there or my age, we'll find out some stuff, and I'm cool with that timeline too. I just want to know like at some point.
It has to be in my lifetime. If it doesn't,
So disappointing.
I know I'm not getting flying cars. I know. Like, I made peace with that when I was like 14,
Yeah.
that I just wasn't getting flying cars in my lifetime.
Once we hit 2015 and the animated Transformers movie wasn't reality.
Right.
Yeah. it kinda
Exactly.
all right.
I mean, with Elon Musk, though, he might, Tesla's might, he's already talking about, I don't know if you heard him say this, Kamaan. He's saying that soon, you know, they've talked about the concept of making a Tesla that can hover, like 6, how far did he say off the ground?
Yeah, I think about 6 inches, roughly. Like
No, it was like higher than that.
higher than that?
It was like, he
Maybe a
measured
couple
it in
feet?
meters. He was like 3 meters or 6 meters or some shit like that.
Yeah,
But
maybe a
like,
couple feet at the most.
But I mean, yeah, and he said like we could see that happening, a propulsion system.
But was this like in a press conference or was
No,
this on Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan.
'Cause
for
that's-
sure.
It was on
Okay,
Joe
yeah,
Rogan.
definitely different levels of credibility.
But
For all
that's-
I know, he
that-
smoked some weed.
I know. Well,
Oh, this is the third time he was on, right?
This was a couple days ago. He
What?
specifically did not smoke
Oh,
weed this
man.
time because he saw what happened to his
And wait,
stocks
what
last
do you
time.
have? What do you have against weed? Do you think weed's just gonna make you start saying some random shit that's not true?
Me? No,
No, I'm
no,
kidding.
absolutely not.
He's like,
oh,
I'm high
messing
right
with-
now.
I'm
No,
messing with you, bro.
No, but like he said it.
Yeah.
He said that he could see cars hovering in the very near future. But his time scales are fucking nuts.
They're
He's
so
like,
random.
Joe Rogan was like, when do you see us going to Mars regularly? And he's like, I could see us there in 5 years. It's like, no.
my man.
Like, it's just, I'm sorry, but no.
But in his mind, he's working faster than the rest of everyone else
Right.
is. So in his mind,
Mm-hmm.
if he had a whole bunch of people like him, he could get there in 5 years.
5
Probably.
years in Elon time is
Yeah.
like 30 years for us. Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. I imagine like a world where this podcast gets big enough to where we have him like in that chair right there. It's just
That would be amazing.
old Elon. He's got like 13 kids by then. You know, they're just all different serial numbers for names.
2 of them cyborgs.
Right. Oh. Okay. This is why I'm glad Kamaan is here. One talking about cyborgs, Neuralink is something that Elon Musk says is
Oh, boy.
imminent in the future, and this is like the whole integration of, you know, computerization of the human mind. I am very anti this being a thing. I'm pretty sure, Adam, you would be against Neuralink, or I'm pretty sure not against it, but I don't think you'd sign up for it, right?
My thing is the long-term effects of these things. You
We
know,
have- yeah.
like the idea of it, and especially for it helping people without speech or memory problems or things like that, where like they have serious chronic problems where they can't function like a normal human. That okay, right?
Right.
Same with like getting a bionic arm. Like you wouldn't get that if you already had a normal arm.
Right.
I mean, some people would, like in the
Right.
future, probably like, hey, if this arm is actually stronger and I can punch a hole through a wire, whatever.
Right.
But like the fact that you're doing that just to like get cognitively like, or just to get a better grade on your test or something.
Right.
Oh, I want to go to Harvard. I'm going to get a Neuralink, or you know what I mean? That's like the long term effects. I'm like, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know.
But I mean, we're talking about being able to like order pizza from your mind,
Right.
Like, just,
Yeah.
Kamaan, I think you would do it. I think you've
Yeah,
expressed
no,
before that you would be
absolutely.
all about Neuralink.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like if it comes back to that, if it was publicly funded and like everybody had a chance to get at it, then I think it would be like a sick idea. Obviously, that's not going to be how it is, and like
Yeah.
rich people that are going to buy their way into Harvard anyway are going to
that's
pay
true.
for their kids to have Neuralink and
There's no doubt it's going to be
ace their
expensive.
ACT.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to
but
be thousands of dollars.
just like in a perfect world, like that technology, I think, yeah, we've got to push the envelope, because like if you think about it, we're already doing it. Like you mentioned,
For
we've
sure.
already got someone that lost their arm in like some kind of engineering accident, and now they've got wires and electrodes embedded in their shoulder that pick up those signals from their brain and then make this fucking robot hand move. It's like we already have
Yeah.
the technology. It's just what else can we use it for? And it's got like a malevolent, like Terminator kind of vibe when you think about it in the abstract. But then if you think like, hey, I've got like, I want to drive better, or like how can we improve people's response time
Right.
on the freeway so that there are fewer accidents because people brake too late and fucking rear end
Right.
homie who was on his phone. If your car begins to brake as soon as you think about braking, then boom, we've just potentially saved lives. And
I guess.
it's not like Terminator shit. It's
Right.
like, hey, how can we just cut out the middleman? Like think, turn the wheel,
Right.
turn the car.
See, yeah, you're just gonna start getting like Amazon packages at your house. They're gonna just order stuff for you before you know you want it. It's like you'll just get a package. You'll be like, I didn't order this, but I wanted it. Like your
No,
brain.
dude. They're gonna have to get rid of that buy now button if it's in my brain.
Oh, I know, right?
They're gonna have to make you like physically swipe.
Oh my god.
Wait, like for like just to think like, okay, there's so many factors that go into this. Like, will they be able to track you? Like, will it have a GPS system? What is it like how integrated is it going to be into your daily life? And like, there's so many different questions I would want to ask and figure out, because we're definitely we're still a good ways away until we get that type of level. But I mean, we're not that far to where we can actually use it to enhance just basic functions. So that's right. That's very close. But we're talking 50 at least years from now to where we can actually use it to do things.
I don't know. I think I'd be more on an Elon Tommy timeline for that. I'd say like 10, 15.
It's very believable when he says
prototypes.
I think he said like 10 years, and I believe him.
It's just so crazy to think about.
It's okay, because 10 years from now we're going to be doing this podcast like just telepathically. We'll just upload it straight from our brain. We won't even have to talk. It'll just upload our thoughts into a WAV file, and it'll be amazing.
There is something else he talks about as far as like integration of technology into our biology is that we have our cell phones with us 24/7.
You're already essentially a cyborg.
Right.
You already have some sort of technological augmentation.
Yeah.
It's an extension of yourself.
For sure.
To a degree where it's almost, I don't know. I would like to distance myself more, but it's like we're already so far down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe we just go all the way.
I mean, it's not physically attached to our bodies, but it might as well be the way we carry it around. Like it's in our freaking pocket everywhere we go.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been like just this month, for this year, I've been like, hey, I'm going to, instead of doing like a New Year's resolution, I'm going to do like, hey, this is what I'm going to do for February. This is what I'm going to do for March. And for this month, it's been like,
that's unique. I like that. I think that's way more manageable.
Less commitment. Yeah,
the
most
whole
definitely.
12-month thing, like you get like 3 months in and 4 months in, even if you're doing great at it, it just becomes so daunting to go, oh shit, I've done it for 4 months. That was hard enough. I'm a third of the way there. I still have 8 more months of like changing my entire life. So, okay, monthly resolutions. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's the move. But this month, it's been no social media, and like definitely still like just none of like the mindless scrolling social media like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Like I'll still use YouTube to like look up videos and stuff that I want, but it's much more intentional. But like just the first couple of days of trying not like to break that just mindless connection that I have with my phone, like I want stimulation, and then boom, was like, it made me realize like how much, or like how closely related my phone and I are. Like there's not much that separates me from what my phone puts out.
Yeah.
So definitely consistent with all Elon's analysis of us being cyborgs already.
It's really scary how much I've found myself using my phone. Like I've found I'm scrolling through shit while I'm at red lights. I'm just like, oh, red light. What do I do with my hands? Grab my phone, like, and I'm just like scrolling, just looking at mindless shit. Not even like shit that's useful, like stuff communicating with. I'm just looking at like memes, and like I'm not even laughing. I'm just watching them. I watched it to like completion, and then okay, next.
Just consuming.
Next. Yeah, just consume. Just beamed into my fucking brain, and then we'll cut out the middleman, and I won't have to look at anything. I can just beam stuff into my own brain with my Neuralink.
Yeah, but it's wild because we're just like, we're coming full circle. You're like, I could beam the meme straight in my head. Well, you can just think about the memes now.
Right.
Like you don't need the Neuralink.
That's very true.
Where is the internet going to go?
Where's the internet going to go?
Where hasn't it gone, man?
Yeah,
we got fridges that can fucking take our temperature and tell us we're sick.
We're still at just the beginning. Like I feel like we're still going up to this, like we still haven't reached this peak of what it can be. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's going to go somewhere we can't even imagine.
I think we'll get to the point where it's everywhere and it's everything, and you like
it's in the walls, it's in the floor.
Well, first we'll get to where there's no cash.
Right.
And where all transactions are carried out via the internet, like
it's very,
cards
very
that access your bank account via the internet. will get to where you can't do anything in person. Like you can't buy tickets in person. If you want to go see a movie, you have to have the ticket already that you bought on the internet.
Right.
You'll get to where you have to have some sort of internet device on you at all times because you'll have to use it for everything. If you want to go to a concert, you have to have your device on you because
Even
yeah.
with the pandemic that just happened, so many restaurants, you go to a restaurant, you pull the menu up
Right.
on your phone now.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That never happened before. I mean,
Yeah,
very
no, it
rarely.
kinda
it is
accelerated
kind of
the whole
smart.
process.
It does
Right.
save like paper.
It
I mean, that's
does.
good. But I mean,
But
it's
just
it's
another
going
integration.
Everywhere.
It's another
It's going to
thing.
be like when a cop pulls you over to see your driver's license, you're going to be like,
your phone.
yeah.
Mm.
It's like,
It's gonna be it's gonna be a part of our
right.
everything we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
But it's not even like it's gonna like change things because like we're already there. It's
Right.
just they're gonna implement more things that they've been thinking about. Like the pandemic has made it so that we can do literally everything we need to from home.
Right.
Like we don't have to interact with the restaurant that we want to eat food from. We just
Right.
think about it, swipe some, and then it shows up.
It's so wild.
So it's like,
Exactly.
dude, we're there.
we are in the
future.
future. The future is here.
We finally made it.
We finally made it to the future. I think that's a great note to kind of go out on. I think
yeah,
this has
we're at
been-
about 2 hours.
Yeah.
we're pushing it.
We're going to keep going longer each episode. We're going to get to where like one episode takes your whole day to listen to.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we just got to find out what Joe Rogan's max is,
Right.
and then top that by 1 minute.
There you go. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever catch him in terms of episodes, though. He's on like almost 1,700. But
Sure.
Kamaan, thank you. One day we will get you down to Texas and have you on the show in person. Thanks for being on the show. Adam, it's fucking great.
It's been beautiful, man.
It has been beautiful. Thank you guys for listening to the Midnight Variety Hour. Kamaan, thank you again.
Thanks,
And,
Kamaan.
uh,
We
Thanks
love
for
you, man.
having me.
All right, don't upload yourself to the internet and stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Can't stop me. Thanks for having me, man.
All right.
All right, peace, Kevin.
Later.